All right. Hey, everybody. Joshua Smith here, and today is session number 5. So, this week we're going to talk about building and delivering your listing manual, your overall listing process, and delivering a world-class listing consultation. Last week we obviously covered this in buyers, so hopefully you have that stuff dialed in per the homework and action items. And this week is all listings. So, a real quick heads up: this week is the only week that we do not have a slide deck, and the reason is we're just bouncing back and forth with my presentations and all of that stuff. So any questions that you have, jump on into toss those into Q&A. So as always, I like to start off here in Customer Hub, and I know that this gets repetitive and probably a little bit annoying as repetition can get. But I like to make sure that you guys fully know where to navigate, understand this stuff. Because look, I mean, when we spend 40 hours live together over 12 weeks, you're not going to retain all this content. You might retain 10 or 15% of it. It's going through it over and over and over that creates that mastery, as we've talked about so much in this program so far. And that's why all this stuff is recorded. That's why I give you lifetime access to this. So I like to make sure that you fully know where to go for all this content. So obviously when we first log in here, here's our homepage. This button here always takes us back here. If we go into week number 5, let me just show you what everything is and some rhyme to the reason. So obviously our video today will replace this video, which this is from the last boot camp. We've got the homework here. Actually, I probably should click on that so we have that to go through a little bit later. But this video down here, this isn't a video that you have to watch. It's really going over essentially the same stuff that we're going over today. The reason I put this video in here is, I get some comments sometimes of, well, what does all this stuff look like when you have it in your hand, when you actually knock on the door, whatever. And so this video is just a little bit, it's the same presentation, but just done with me in person so you can see some of that. Here is me running a CMA and how we input that into, we use Cloud CMA. I've used it for years. I really like it. It's not the only option out there. There's RPR and a lot of other great options out there. A lot of your MLSs offer those for free and link with those. Cloud CMA is just an option that, like I said, I've probably been with them, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. Dude, like most MLSs spit out an ugly CMA. So this, I go to the MLS, I run my CMAs, I get my MLS numbers. I'll use this statistical CMA report, which literally is just the property address, the MLS number, list price, sold price, price per square foot. I mean, it's just like a one-liner of the basics. So I'll print that and I'll have that as part of my CMA or as part of my presentation as well. But then I take all those MLSs and I plug it into Cloud CMA, which will spit out a 50-page, more professional, nicer report. So we use that, and this just kind of shows what we do with that, how we do it. Here's an in-depth video of my solar buy-it guarantee. We're going to cover this today, but I have a separate video of this just to reference this because this is a little bit I don't want to say complicated, but when you offer some of these guarantees, especially like the solar you buy it, you definitely want to have things that protect you in place, which we'll talk about today as well. I do not do any type of pre-listing videos or packages anymore, but I used to. And here is my old pre-list video just to show a sample because I always get asked in the boot camps about those. I used to do them. But then just being fully honest with you guys, when I switched from Remax to the brokerage that I'm with now, about 3 years ago or so, or just over 3 years ago, we switched in a hurry. I was giving a notice to my broker, out of respect and whatever. And my time to part was much shorter than I anticipated. I was thinking that, it'd have, 60 days or whatever to make this transition, but I get it too, right? Once word gets out, rumors happen, people start asking questions. So I get why they, wanted me out a little bit earlier than I'd thought. But there were some things I just didn't have time to button up, like for example, a pre-list video. And then I realized from having one to not having one, it made zero difference. So for me, it's about speed. So I don't do a pre-list video or pre-list package anymore, but here's a sample of my pre-list video that I used before. Here is a video on how to edit and download the listing presentation that I give you. So I give these to you in a couple different formats. They're going to be there's one that's like a PDF format. There's one that is in a PowerPoint format, one that's in a Keynote format. Keynote is PowerPoint for the Macs. Even though I use Mac, I still build these out in PowerPoint. I'm just better with PowerPoint than I am Keynote. And then it automatically will convert into Keynote. But this just shows how to make edits, because obviously you're probably going to want to make some edits to it, and how to download it and onto your own devices. Here's all my team documents, PDF versions. Here's the editable Word documents, guarantee documents that we're going to go through today. The regular guarantees I'm going to go through, plus I separate these out from the sold or we buy it guarantee. Again, the presentations to download. And then at the very, very bottom here, what I did is I paid a transcription company, like from Fiverr or whatever, to just go through and transcribe my listing presentation. Because you're going to see on my listing presentation, there's points in there, and I use those as reference points, but I add a lot of additional verbiage. So I just had them transcribe the whole thing, so you can kind of see and have that printed off, full on transcription of what I say when I say it. So that's there for you. So lots of meat inside here for you. Again, we're going to cover all of this stuff in depth today, but there's lots of additional resources and things inside here for you. So where I want to start with you guys today is my actual listing manual, which let me blow this up here. So just like last week, we talked about my buyer's manual, right? So it is a reminder, and as you guys probably know at this point, I'm a systems and processes freak. Right? So inside my real estate business, I don't want any guesswork. I want everything to be dialed in. I want everybody on the same page. And you might be saying to yourself, well, Josh, dude, I don't need to have these things dialed in. I'm not a team leader. I don't plan on having a team anytime soon. It's just me. So it's cool with having this stuff in my head. Look, the reality is our minds forget. Like one of the surest guarantees in your life is your mind will forget. Like what did you have last week, Tuesday, for lunch, right? Like we forget things so quickly. These ensure that we don't miss anything, that we duplicate the same result over and over and over, as well as eventually, as we start expanding and growing our organizations, that those that work for us can go out there and replicate and duplicate the same exact result. It's a damn scary thing when you start hiring people to work for you inside your organization, especially in the beginning, right? It's hard to trust people. It's hard to go out there and do these things. And I went through a huge learning curve with this, right? I had these high expectations. I'd sit people in a room. I'd teach them what I did, but I didn't have manuals in place. I didn't have all these different reference guides in place for them to be able to truly go out there and master their craft and find these resources. So, right now I have 33 full-time agents on my team. I need all the agents delivering the same exact listing presentation, the same exact buyer consultation, preparing for the same exact way. I want everything done uniform, which ensures success of my teammates, but also ensures our clients I want the same exact experience delivered to my clients over and over and over. And look, at the end of the day, and this was a big pill to swallow, and we'll talk about this more when we get into expansion and team growth. But nobody really cares about doing business with us personally or individually, right? And that's again, I used to sit there and think, oh, my clients just want to work with me. At the end of the day, dude, they don't care. They just want to be delivered the same result, the same experience. Like when you go to a restaurant, who gives a shit if the owner is cooking the food or whatever? Like you just want a great meal and a great experience. That's all you want, regardless of who does it, who they hire to do it. If they go out there and deliver the great results and great experience you want, then you're pleased. And it's the same thing with our buyer and seller clients. So these manuals just ensure that stuff happens, and again, ensures that we don't forget. If you remember when we talked about on week number 2, we talked about decision fatigue, right? And decision fatigue happens. That was where I used the death by a million paper cuts analogy. And most entrepreneurs get exhausted throughout the day, not because they're working so hard, not because they're not sleeping enough or whatever. It's because they're having to make so many tiny decisions all throughout their day, and we only have so much mental capacity to be able to make so many decisions that we diminish our brain power, if you will. decision fatigue sets in and we become mentally exhausted. So I want to, this sounds weird, but I want to think as little as I possibly can inside my business. I don't like to think, I just like to be able to execute, and I like to save that brain power for those big decisions I have to make. All right, so inside my real estate manual here, we're going to do an overview and we're going to then break this stuff down. So inside the manual here, this is the front cover here, which just tells the goal, very similar to the buyer's manual. The goal with every seller lead is to get the appointment. At this time, you're only selling the value of the appointment. Per NAR, currently 72% of sellers are only going with and interviewing one realtor and going with the first realtor they meet in person. So it's critical to get the appointment. Your 100% focus with all seller leads should be just that appointment. Once I set the appointment, at the time of the appointment, when I'm conducting the appointment, then I'm trying to convert them into becoming a client, right? So just like, and again, we're going to break these down step by step. So just like in the buyer's guide, I start leading with the appointment questions to ask, which are at the top here. Then if we keep scrolling down, and then of course I got my appointment setting script, which we'll break down, go through all of that. We keep scrolling down. Here is my pre-list email that's sent out. So I don't do a pre-list kit or a pre-list packet, but I shoot them an email as soon as I get off the phone with them. Here's my confirmation process. Again, all these things that we're going to go through today here with you on. Then from here, here's my step-by-step preparation for the appointment guidelines for my teammates to follow. So you're going to see things like RevistoOnlineUniversity.com. That's just a website, just like the Bootcamp, where they can access all of this material and go in there and watch that. So just understand there's nothing that's inside here that we don't cover. So when you see Revisto Online, just think of this as your Bootcamp page to go and log into. This is just specific to my team, and I'm sharing, of course, my team playbook with you guys. So step number one, we're going to send the pre-list email. We're going to run our CMA. I'll go through these step by step. So I'm not going to go through these right now, but this goes through all the preparation from when we pull up to the property, how we knock on the door, what we bring with us, what order we do our presentation in. Again, all things that we're going to cover today. Closing the listing, what we do there. What our process is if we conduct a listing appointment, we do not get the signed listing. This breaks down all that follow-up, which is also, we're going to also talk about this in week number 8 with the drips. But it's essentially a 28-day follow-up with 6 emails and 6 phone calls that go out with right here. It tells exactly what to do, what to say, what voicemails to leave, all of that fun stuff, which again, we'll cover that here in more in depth here today. Then if we continue this, just again, like in the buyer guide or the buyer's manual, we have the required initial listing documents. So these are going to be specific to Arizona, specific to me. So yours might tweak, but I require the new client contact info sheet, which I'll show you, the fully filled in and executed ER, which is the exclusive right to sell, which is our listing agreement for the state of Arizona, the fully filled in and executed property profile sheet, which again, Arizona specific document that goes with the listing agreement, and that gives all the main property information. Like, does it have gas, electric, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, square footage, all that BS. Fully filled in SPUDs. So the SPUDs are the seller property disclosure statement. So it's a series of like 240 some questions the seller fills out. And all this stuff, I like to get filled out at the time of the listing. A lot of people will go out there and do this stuff after they get a contract accepted from a buyer. No, dude, I want it all right up front. Sometimes buyer agents might request it for their clients before they write an offer on the property. But no matter what, to me, I just want to minimize time. So the second I get an executed purchase contract, bam, I'm able to send the buyer's agent everything they need, and I'm able to just keep flowing and get on to that next deal. Our agency lead-based paint document, if that applies. Then here in the state of Arizona, we have 5 days. Once we get an accepted purchase contract on one of our listings, we have 5 days to issue the buyer the seller property disclosure statement and an insurance claim history letter, or it's also referred to as a clue report, which is just a letter from their insurance company that shows if there's ever been any claims on the property. So we instruct them to get this up front, so they go order this. So again, as soon as I get that purchase contract, bam, I want to be able to file this stuff over. And this is the same note we talked about last week, but do not be sloppy or careless with your paperwork. It's critical for several reasons. Again, and this is something I'm just going to reiterate over and over and over with you guys. I mean, these other things we talked about last week, and you guys understand this, but like our support staff's not able to fully go out there and support our agents, and listing input and contract to close without this stuff. Obviously, our brokers require this stuff, and this, our local boards, local Department of Real Estate require certain documents to cover our client as well as cover our own asses. But every bit as important as those things, if not more important, is the trust points with our clients. I mean, the reality is, if you have to go back to your clients and ask for missed paperwork, missed initials, whatever, you diminish trust points. I want to be racking up trust points, not diminishing those trust points. So when we have those hard conversations, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. We trust you, Josh. Even if they're not happy about it, right? I want to have them have a full faith, confidence, and trust within me. So very, very critical. Then below here, this is our contact info sheet for every seller. So, of course, property address, seller's full names, the address they'll be moving to or forwarding address if they have it, best phone numbers to contact the seller, best emails, best way to communicate with them. Remember, the golden rule is treat others how you want to be treated. The platinum rule is treat others how they want to be treated. And this is very important with your clients. Deliver a brilliant experience. Don't treat them how you want to be treated. Maybe how you want to be treated, they think would be treated like shit. Right? I look at this like a relationship, a marriage, right? Like how my wife wants to be treated is vastly different than how I want to be treated. Like, have you ever read the book, The 5 Love Languages, right? Like we operate totally different love languages, right? Like I don't really like to be touched. I like to be alone, spend time in solitude. I like to be left alone, where my wife likes time together and likes to touching and cuddling and all those things, which to me, I'm like, yeah, I don't, right? So if I treat her, my wife, how I want to be treated, she'd divorce me, right? So we just got to understand this. Golden rule is treat others how you want to be treated. The platinum rule is treat others how they want to be treated. So I always ask my clients, how do you want to be communicated with? Is the property occupied or vacant? Are we ordering professional photos? Yes or no? I am a huge believer on professional photos for a property. What sells 99.9% of properties is getting the property prepped right, showing off that property is the best product you possibly can, getting it priced right, and getting great photos to show off that property. Then, of course, putting it on the MLS. I mean, that's what, unless it's a very, very unique situation, that's what sells 99.9% of properties, right? It's like when I hear real estate agents saying, oh man, the property looks great. We spent time getting it prepped. We got great photos. It's priced right, but it's just, we've been sitting. It's just not selling. No, dude, it's just not priced right. I mean, if everything else is in place, it's not priced right, right? Like somehow you're missing something there in most cases, right? If we are doing professional photos, do they have a day preference, AM or PM? Will anybody be there for the appointment as far as the sellers, or, does the agent need to meet them there for the appointment for the photos? Then down here, this is our listing input process. We'll go over this much more in depth in week number 9 when we're talking about contract to close and more of the admin support stuff. But here is our 8-step input process for our listing. So if you want to know, kind of what our flow is here's our 8-point listing import process. Then I'm always letting my teammates know what we do, what we don't do, what we provide, what we don't provide. And this is really important as you start expanding your team and or brokerage. You got to be very clear. I mean, you give people an inch, they'll take a mile. And I get it, man. I'm one of those that like, look, man, I will squeeze everything I possibly can out of somebody when it comes to work and services. So I'm no different than my teammates are, right? So I get it. So we got to be very clear on what they're able to do, what they're willing to do, what they can't do, what those lines are, what we provide with these things, what we do there. Like, for example, we were getting a lot of our agents. I wasn't clear on reschedules for photos, right? Well, I would get charged a big rescheduling fee. So I'm like, look, dude, I'll pay for the photos. You got to make sure you dial in the time and make sure this is done. If there's a reschedule for the photos, my agent's not have to pay it. I'm not paying for reschedules, right? So we make them responsible for that fee. I mean, this got to the point where this was costing me and again, we're listing a lot of properties on my team, but I was spending $3 or $4 grand a month in reschedule fees, right? Which is unnecessary. Then here is our script that we use to work with our clients once we've got them as a listing client, so they know the importance of getting the professional photographer in there. So, as you know, professional photography is one of the largest key elements in getting your home sold. The professional photographers we use do try to accommodate our schedules as much as possible, but they are doing photo shoots all day long, all over the valley. So they may not be able to work around your schedule. If for some reason they can't, it's important for us to be flexible with them and work with their schedule. It usually takes 2 to 3 business days to get them out here. So they're Monday through Friday. They don't work Saturdays. That's just my photographer. So we got to clear with him on that. But my photographer is the best. So I want to use him. So it usually takes 2 to 3 business days to get him out here. Then I'll ask him, hey, what are 2 or 3 times that would be ideal for you to have them come out, and I'll do my best to make it happen, right? But I've planted that seed of, hey, man, if we can't make this happen, we still need to get these people out here, right? So this just shows you everything that's encompassed inside of our listing manual here. Now let's start breaking this stuff down step by step. So let's first cover and we'll, of course, get into the listing presentation and all of that. But, all these things are really important before that even happens. So, last week when we talked about the buyer questions to ask a buyer before you set the appointment. Now, the buyer, it's a little bit more difficult. Buyers, they just want to get indoors. They don't want to be hassled. You got to be a little bit more creative when you're getting the questions. Sometimes it might take me a series of 3 or 4 conversations with the lead before I get all the questions answered, right? With the seller, it's a hell of a lot easier to get these questions answered up front because most sellers get it. They get that you're selling their house, right? That you need to know certain information on their house, that you need to see their property. So these questions are very easy for a seller to get once you've identified them as a seller lead and a potential seller client that you're wanting to set up a time with, or they're wanting to set up a time with you to go out there and list their home. So I'm going to get the number one here. I'm going to get the name of the seller and any and all names of the parties that are involved in the decision-making process. So I'm just going to ask them, all right, so what are the names, what is your name and any other names of anybody that's on title that's going to be part of this decision-making process, right? So I'll write down all those names. Then I will also ask, are all parties going to be there, be available at the time of the listing presentation when we meet, right? And most cases they are, but there's always those unique situations, right? Like where I'm at here in Arizona, we've got a lot of retirees that move here, and maybe they pass away and their kids inherit the property. Well, maybe one of their kids is local, the other one's out of state, the other one can't be here, can't make it here. And if they can't make it here, that's fine, right? I just want to make sure that person that I am meeting with then has the authority to make the decision. Or I've had it like in divorce situations where the couple's in the middle of getting a divorce. They like can't stand each other so much to the point where they can't be in the same room together, right? Okay, fine. I'll go do 2 separate listing presentations, 1 to each of them. I just want to have a conversation and make sure that they're both on the same page. What I don't want to have happen is I go meet with let's say the wife, and then I meet with the wife and she wants to list with me, and then all of a sudden the husband's like, hell no, I'm not going to use him, or even though I didn't have to get an opportunity to meet him or pitch my services to him, just the fact that the wife initiated the relationship with me, like despite his wife, he's like, oh, hell no, I'm not meeting with this guy, whatever, just to make things difficult. I want to make sure that I'm alleviating from those situations as much as I possibly can. Then, of course, getting the property address, best numbers to reach them at, best emails to reach them at. These are some basic questions here. Then I like to find out and identify what is their motivation, what is their reason for needing to be able to sell. So I'll just straight up ask them, what is the reason you are needing to sell, and how soon are you looking to make a move, right? So I just want to know this. Sometimes they're like, hey, well, I got a new job offer and out of state that I'm taking, and I've got to be out of here. We've got to have our home sold in less than 4 months, right? That might be somebody that's in a more urgent situation compared to somebody that's like, we don't have to sell. If we can get the price that we want, then we'll sell, but we don't have to sell, right? So again, I'm just trying to identify what their need is, what their situation is, what their time frame is. All of these things are very, very critical. And then just like we talked about last week, capitalize on referrals, right? Also, like, is this somebody that's going to be a seller and a buyer? One thing I'll talk to you about with And lead generation is, which sounds kind of funky. Like I love listings as much as any other agent out there, but I do almost zero marketing for listings, right? I go after buyers very heavily, but those buyers turn into lots of sellers, right? Because they need to go out there and buy. Sellers don't wake up in the middle of the night and are like, oh, we're thinking about selling our house. Let's go interview a real estate agent, see what the price is, right? It always starts with, hey, what's available to go out there and purchase first? That's what gets them excited. That's what, so if they have a house locally, or if they're looking to sell and buy locally, I want to know that up front. Now, in that situation, if it is somebody that is looking to sell their house and buy locally, then I'm doing, of course, both the buyer presentation and the listing presentation in the same visit. And I always start with the buyer presentation first, right? It's what gets them excited. It develops the connection more, shows me and identifies their goals more. Plus, I find, then I can solve their problems on a higher level. Some people think, they might only be able to purchase with a 20% down conventional loan. They may not know that there's 10% or 5% conventional loans out there, other programs out there. And then we can show them, right? I have to get them with our lender and have a conversation with the lender as well, but show them, hey, based with the equity of your home, yeah, you may not be able to do 20% down, but 10%, whatever, with interest rates as low as they are, even with PMI, you can still make these a reality. So anytime that it's a buy and a sell, I always do the buyer consultation first, then the listing consultation, which may take 3 hours, and I'm okay with that, right? I mean, if it's somebody that's buying and selling, I make 16 grand with them. Shit, yeah, I'm going to spend 3 hours with them getting the presentations dialed in and getting everything dialed in, right? Then, like we talked about last week, referrals. Right, if they're relocating out of state, and I can then get them with an agent in another area that I can refer them to, get a referral fee off there. Lots of money to be made there, but I really, really want to identify again their need, what this looks like. Number 6 here: do you currently have a mortgage on your home? Yes or no? And if yes, can you tell me how much your mortgage is for? Right. So in my area, I'm in one of these unique areas. I mean, a lot of areas still see short sales, right? It's something that always exists, does exist. But certain areas, there you see more than others. In my market, man, we're still like 30% below the peak in 2005. It's like I've got a rental property that is just to give you an example of this. In 2005, this rental property appraised for 275. Could have sold it all day long for 275. At the bottom of the market, it dropped down to about 85,000 in valuation. Today, it's maybe worth 215, right? So I still got a long way to go to get back to that price. So if people bought during a certain period of time, they still could be underwater. And I just want to know that up front. I'm totally cool doing short sales. I don't love short sales, but I'm good at them. I know what to do there. Tons of short sale training in week number 6 for you guys that walk you through how to do those presentations, how to work with the banks, how to be successful short sales. That's all bonus training in week number 6. But I've got all that dialed in. So if it's a short sale, cool. I just want to be prepared up front. A short sale listing presentation is vastly different than a traditional listing presentation. Now some people, not most, but some people in this situation don't want to share how much their loan payoff is because they, the trust in realtors is very low. So they might be thinking, oh shit, if this real estate agent knows how much equity we have in this house, they'll probably just try to fire sell our house and get a quick sale, get a quick commission, so I'm not going to let them know. So if they're like, yeah, we got a mortgage, but we're not comfortable disclosing that, all I will say at that moment is, hey, no worries at all. That's your choice. Having this information, however, does help me prep an estimated net sheet for you, which can be really important. Most of my sellers, the ultimate decision if now is the time to sell or not is dependent on how much money you get in your pocket when all said and done. So having this information allows me to provide that to you. But if you don't feel comfortable providing that, totally okay. Right? I'm just going to drop it there and leave it there. So question number 7 here. I love asking this question, right? A lot of agents are afraid to ask this question, but dude, I need to know where they stand. I need to know what their motivation is, what their time frame is, and like, where do they stand? Where's their head at? With online being the way that it is, and with sites like Zillow, they have been on there and they have an idea of what the value of their home is, or at least what they think it is. So I just straight up ask them, hey, in your opinion, what do you feel the current value of your home is? And most people will just give it to you. Well, we've been doing some research online. We're thinking it's, 3.25, 325. Right. Sometimes it's not very often, but sometimes, I'll get the, kind of smart ass remark of, oh, I have no idea. That's why I'm talking to you. That's why I'm having you come out. Right. And when I get that, hey, yep, no worries at all. I get that. I understand that. And as soon as we hang up the phone here, I'm going to spend my time doing my research, doing my due diligence. I'm going to spend a couple hours coming up with my own comps, and I will come up with my own recommended professional value of your property. And when we meet, I'm going to show you all of the comps that I pulled, all the comps that I ran, and how I came up with that number. So I'm going to do that on my own. I'm going to go through all of that with you. But I like to have an idea of where you're at, what your expectations are. So if you had to give your best guess, like what's your best guess of your current home's value, right? And if they'll give it to me, cool. If not, I drop it at that point. But here's how I look at a listing presentation. I look at it as if I'm an attorney and I'm representing my client, and I'm going against I'm trying to present my case, if you will, to the jury and convince the jury that my client's innocent or guilty or whatever the hell it is in the attorney as an attorney, right? So I look at the seller is the jury. It's my job to convince them that my valuation is right. You guys getting your homes priced right is critical. So I want to go out there and do everything I possibly can to convince them. So if they tell me, oh, well, we think 325, and I'm running the comps and it's at 325 or whatever. If it's above that, it's gravy, right? It makes it that much easier. But if they're in line, I'll show up with the 3 best actives, the 3 best pendings, the 3 best sold. But let's say they're like, oh, 325, and I run the comps and it's like 285. I'm gonna have to come in with the book. Right? I'm going to come in with the most recent, comps that an appraiser is going to see. So apples to apples within that neighborhood, or worst case within a mile radius in the last 90 days. I'm going to come in with preferably both of those. I'll have neighborhood comps, mile radius comps, all the stats, MLS reports showing, the trends of the market over the past year. I'm going to come in as much data as I possibly can, because my goal here is by the time I'm done presenting the price, they may not like it, but I want them to be like, hey, we were hoping for 325. But based on everything that you provide us, we see and understand our house is going with 285. It sucks, but we get the data and you're right, right? So that's what I'm looking at, trying to accomplish here. So for my records, to track our marketing, do you mind telling me how you heard of me? So really important, I'm always tracking our marketing, even though inside my database, inside my CRM, it may say, a online home valuation, right? Well, maybe they got a referral from a friend or a coworker. They just went on my website, poked around on my website. We're kind of doing the research to make sure I wasn't a total douche or whatever. We're doing the research, came in that way, but they actually truly were a friend referral. Right? So now then from there, this is all the questions I ask. Then I go for the appointment. And I'll see a lot of other questionnaires with certain things like, well, are you interviewing other agents? Have you considered a listing as a for sale by owner? A lot of different questions out there. And I'm not saying that there's all those questions are right or all those questions are wrong. I just don't want to plant the seed. Look, if they're interviewing other agents, I can't control that. They're going to interview other agents. And I've tried it every which way I possibly can to be first, to be last, whatever. Dude, I found that all I'm going to focus on is going out there and delivering the best presentation I possibly can and closing this deal. Plus, we know that 72% of home sellers only interview one agent today and are going with the first agent they connect with. So I just want to get in there as quickly as I possibly can, present to them. I don't want to plant the seed that, they should be interviewing other agents. I don't want to plant the seed of, for sale by owner is an option. So for me, I ask the information or the questions that I need to be able to present in the best manner I possibly can. I keep it brief. Right? Buyers, we talked about last week, like I want to keep them on the phone. I want to keep them talking. I want to keep that human connection. Sellers, it's about brevity, right? It's about being brief, setting the appointment, and then boom. So then just like last week, I'm going to sell the value of the appointment. So here's my appointment setting script. Hey, I have found that by far the next best step to set up a time for me to come by is to set up a time for me to come by and see your home. Once your home is listed for sale, I know to you, it is your home. However, to buyers, they see it as a product for sale. if you were hiring me or considering to hire me as your realtor to help you sell your home, it is critical that I see your home, the product you are looking to sell. When we meet, I'm going to have you give me a tour of the property, show me any updates that you've done to the property. Then we're going to go through my marketing plan of action so I can educate you on my exact strategy to get your home exposed to the most amount of buyers out there and ultimately sell your home for top dollar from the second you decide I'm the realtor for you until the second your home sells. I have a detailed game plan in place. In addition to going over my marketing plan of action, I'm going to create an in-depth market analysis report that we will go through, and I will give you what my professional opinion of your home's value is. The sole purpose of the meeting is to give you all the information you need to make the best decision for yourself and for your family. There is no obligation, no hassle, and no pressure. My company has a very strict, absolute no pressure policy, so you are never pressured. Again, just educate on my services and the process to make the best decision for yourself and your family. I have X time and X time PM available tomorrow. Do either of those times work for you, right? So a couple critical things here. Just like we've talked about already, I'm going to stress the no hassle, no pressure, no obligation, very strict, absolute no pressure policy. Remember, the consumer today wants the information that they want to get to make the best decision for themselves. They just don't want to be pressured. They want to deal with the sales guy, right? So I don't need to sell, right? Because I'm not really selling anything other than them. I'm convincing them that I am the best person to help them facilitate their goals and the experience that they want to experience, right? So at this point, at the appointment, I'm not trying to sell their house. I'm selling them on me, and I sell them on me by just showing them, again, these things that we just talked about here, and you'll see more of this as we get into this. So these things are really, really critical, I've found, to ease their to increase, I should say, their comfort level, decrease their guard, lower their guard, increase their comfort with setting that time with me to come out. The other thing that you can see intentionally that I do here, and you're going to see here, I do this multiple times before we even get down to the listing presentation, is I'm instructing them on exactly how the presentation is going to go. Look, we're going to meet. You're going to give me a tour, show me any updates and upgrades. After the tour, we're going to sit down. I'm going to go through my step-by-step marketing plan of action to expose your home to the most amount of buyers out there, to get you top dollar for your property. Then after that, we'll go through the home valuation report and go through and show you how much or what my recommended professional valuation of your property is, right? That's the exact order I want to do it in. I don't want to go on a listing presentation where they sit down like, oh, what's the price? Right? No, I want to do it the way I want to do it. I'm very intentional about leading the process, and it's very rare that my process ever gets disrupted because I'm always leading the process. I'm always instructing them exactly how this is going to go. Look, I'm the professional. You are the professional. We are here to lead the process. They need to be led. They want to be led. We are leading the process. When I go to my dentist or I go to my attorney, like I'm setting up a new operations agreement. I start my own title company right now. Which I'll talk to you guys about later in the training, ancillary fees and how to increase the quickest way to increasing revenue inside your organization is not closing more transactions, right? There's other ways to go out there and do this. And I'll talk to you about this more so as we advance inside the program. But that's one of the reasons I'm starting my own title company, right? I'm going to make an extra $650 net per transaction that we send our title company. Right now I'm sending my preferred title company 34 transactions per month on average, right? I mean, that's like 20 extra grand in my pocket instantaneously or more, that I'm able to get. But anyway, I'm leading this process. When I'm working with my attorney on this operations agreement, like, it's like, here's what you're going to do. Here's my time. Here's what this is. She leads the process. I need to be led though. I want her to make sure I'm protected, right? I pay, my attorney is like $1,200 an hour. She's the best attorney money can buy for business operations. And I'm paying her to protect my ass. So I let her lead this, right? So if this is done right, you will be able to lead the process with your clients as well. In most cases, there's always those one-offs. There's always that, somebody that doesn't give a shit. But in most cases, 95+% of the time, you're going to lead this process the way you want to lead it. So my goal, just whether it's a buyer or seller, is to try to get this appointment within 48 hours. This is going to maximize show-up rates. If you can't, still book the appointment, but try to book it for the soonest you possibly can. An appointment's better than no appointment, right? But I found, like, if I book an appointment a week out, I'm going to have like a 50% show up ratio. If I book on 70 or 48 hours, I'm going to have like a 75 to 76% show up ratio, right? So even with sellers, man, you get people that forget whatever. So the sooner, the better. But an appointment's better than no appointment. So I'm going to go for it as quickly as I possibly can. So the goal is to be brief, get the appointment as soon then. So now I've set the appointment. I've got the questions that I need. So or the answers that I need to go out there and prep for it. And then as soon as the listing appointment is secured, like the second I hang up the phone, I shoot them off this email. And this email just states, hey, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to meet with you tomorrow at 5 p.m., whatever the date and time is at your home. And I insert the address for a listing interview. I want you to know that I take my clients and my career very seriously, and I truly treat it as an honor to represent my clients, accomplish their real estate goals. Have an amazing day, and I'm greatly looking forward to meeting you soon. So like I said, man, I've done all these different pre-listing kits, pre-listing emails, like you've got in the customer hub. I used to do like David Knox videos that I would send them, and like with a nice bow and flowers and a bag of popcorn tied to it. That stuff takes time. It's like if I can get if I get a call at 8 a.m. this morning for a listing presentation, I'll try to book it for that same night. Yeah, right. When I say 48 hours, that's like worst case. I'm trying either same day if it's possible, which can be kind of hard because we get in a reactive state. But for listing, I'll take it same day if I have enough time to prep, or that following day. And dude, I'm hardcore with this stuff, right? Like I have no problem. I've done so many listing presentations early in the morning at 6 a.m. Right? Oh, well, tomorrow's a kind of a crazy day after work. Well, how about we meet? Yeah, I get that. And, I'm in the same boat with you. I got, family just like you do. And I understand how hectic evenings are with homework and kids events and whatever. How about in the morning? Why don't I, what if I could come at 6 a.m.? I'll bring Starbucks. I'll bring bagels. I'll bring breakfast. And we do it at 6 a.m. People are fresh in the morning. I love early morning listing presentations, right? So I'm going to do everything I possibly can to book that, right? Then I found that this email has been every bit, if not more powerful, is anything I've ever sent them when it comes to a pre-list. Saves me time, saves me money, saves me energy on, trying to come up with these fancy pre-list kits out there. I see constantly, I get my email flooded just like you guys do with these other quote unquote gurus about pre-list kits and different things. Every single one of them is not a producing agent. Right? It just doesn't exist. I got one the other day from Mike Cerrone, which I love the guy. I know the guy personally. I speak at all of his stuff. But dude, he's never grown a real estate business. He was a friggin' lender before he got into podcasting and now coaching real estate agents. He's never done this, right? This is all theory for him. Not saying to not do a pre-list. If you want to do a pre-list kit, whatever, great. I'm just telling you from personal experience, I have seen it to matter zero. Have zero impact, and it's a lot more work, a lot more time, a lot more energy. Okay, so I'm just firing this off here, which again, I know for a fact my competition isn't doing this. Then from there, and my confirmation process is the same whether it's a buyer or seller. So I know we went through this last week, but I'm going to go through it again because it's important, right? So the agent's going to then confirm the appointment. So I put agent here. So if you're an individual agent, you're reading this, you'd be like, duh, Josh, I'm the agent. I would confirm this. I put this here just in case you're like a team with ISAs or whatever, or you have assistants setting appointments. Whoever is conducting the appointment is who I may confirm the appointment. So the agent confirms with the potential client. So the confirmation is, remember, like I talked about last week, this is a exclamation point, not a question mark. This is a demand statement. I'm not giving them an out. I'm not like, oh, hey, Peter, Joshua, Smith, River Vista Real Estate Group. Hey, we have a meeting today at your property at 123 West Main Street at 6 p.m. I just want to make sure that still works for you. Is that still good? Dude, if they're in the tiniest bit of a pinch, they're going to reschedule on you, right? So I don't give them an out, right? This is just a demand statement, right? And here I like to do this via video text, right? So that I get a taste of me and whatever via video. It's the next best thing from being face to face is video. So I do this on a video text. Hey, Peter, Joshua Smith, River Vista Real Estate Group, wanted to send you a quick message to let you know that I'm excited to meet with you today at 123 West Main Street at 5 p.m. Really looking forward to meeting with you then, and I hope you have a great day. That's it, right? So I send it the morning of the appointment, unless it's an early morning appointment. something before, let's just say 9 a.m., I'll send it the night before. In most cases, most of our appointments are later afternoon, evening appointments, right? Which is the case for most real estate agents. So we'll send this to the next morning, but you got to, again, dude, this is not a question. It's a demand statement. I'm not, hey, let me know if that still works for you. You start doing that, your appointment show up ratios are going to diminish. Your appointment set to show up ratio should be 75% or above. If you are getting below that, it's one of three things, right? And it could be a combination of all three, but it's either you're setting the appointments too far out, you are not confirming it correctly, as we talk about here, and then lastly, you're not selling the value of the appointment enough. Right? It's always one of those three things. So we want to make sure we get that 75+% show up ratio. With that. Okay, so then now here, I'm going to cover some of this stuff, and then some of this stuff we're going to go through live, but I need to break down how do we prep for this? So step number one, we send out the pre-list email. Then we're going to run our CMA. So you may run yours differently. This may not apply to you, but the reason I'm still reading this to you is so you can see how my manual is created, so that way it can help you create your own manual. So we're going to run our CMA, current market analysis report. We utilize the statistical CMA in the MLS along with our cloud CMA program. So we run our comps, and of course I got a video showing my agents how we run our comps, how to use the stat CMA. As I told you earlier, we print that one-page stat CMA. We take those MLS numbers off the stat CMA. We plug those into cloud CMA. And of course we have videos, and you have the video too, right? Inside Customer Hub, so you're able to see this. So I print the stat CMA, then I save the full color PDF cloud CMA report to the computer of the desktop of my computer or on your tablet. I'm not printing that off. Again, I have found that it's zero difference. If I walk in there with a printed hand copy, it's actually better to have on your computer because the pictures are crystal clear, high def, or when you print them, they kind of diminish. Nobody cares about having a copy of that. If they want a copy of it, I'll email it to them. We're there at the meeting. I can email it to them then. But think about that, dude. Color prints, 25 cents a copy? Look, I'm looking for the best result I possibly can and getting that best result in the most profitable fashion. So I'm not going to do unnecessary shit like print off a 50-page color report CMA. I'm going to have it saved to the desktop of my computer. So then from there, we're going to create our listing package, which is going to have our cloud CMA report that's saved on our computer desktop and or tablet. You're going to have your home seller's guide. Just like the buyer's guide that I showed you last week, we get a home seller's guide. We actually don't even present it or go through it with them on the listing presentation. We just give them a copy so they have a copy. We've got our how to prep your home for sale guide. We've got our statistical CMA report. We've got our 48-point marketing strategy document. We have our blank Arizona Association of Realtors listing paperwork, which it shows what needs to be included there. We have we put that they can reach out to the support staff if they need. So then when you arrive to the listing appointment, you should have all the items listed above along with your listing presentation on your iPad or computer / tablet, right? Which I'll go through some of this with you a little bit more in depth here in a moment. But you can see here, and I'm going to break out into in just a little bit here a listing presentation with you guys. So I'm not going to go through all these with you because this is showing how I do this. But dude, I'm very in depth here. Hey, we're going to pull up to the property 15 minutes early. Going to spend 3 minutes on a visualization exercise, picturing your sign in the front yard, telling yourself that this is your listing. You must visualize it, have a positive attitude and energy from the second you pull up. This gives you 2 minutes to collect all your belongings, knock on the front door, knock on the door 10 minutes early. This is extremely important. This shows you're a true professional. Knock on the door, introduce yourself. This is what you say. And again, I'm going to go through all these with you for the presentation. So I'm not going to read all these right now, but you can see here how in depth this is. Now, what I am going to go through here with real quick before we jump in the presentation is, okay, if I don't get the listing, if I conduct the listing appointment and they don't sign, what do I do there? Right? So I've got, again, it's about a month long. It's a series of 6 emails and 6 phone calls, and I have this auto preloaded in my CRM. So the second I leave the appointment, I'll do this from my phone in the car. I'll go into Perfect Storm because I can access it from my phone. I'll just add this drip, and it automatically starts happening. So email one that goes out, there's just subject line, thank you. And it's just like, hey, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to meet with you for the listing interview. It was an absolute pleasure meeting you. I greatly appreciate you spending the time with me. If there's anything you need, please feel free to contact me anytime. Thanks again. Greatly looking forward to talking to you soon. Then the next day we have a follow-up call, right? Hey, Sarah, Joshua Smith, the Vista Real Estate Group. First, want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to meet with you. Wanted to follow up and see if you had any additional questions and see if you are ready to move forward with getting your home listed on the market. If no answer, here's the voicemail. And this just continues for that full month, right? So, and I'll show you these more when we get into the drips. I've got specific drips that auto task me and auto task inside my CRM in Perfect Storm that I just, if the appointment no shows me or if they show, just bam, it's in there. I don't have to think about it. It just does it automatically, right? So very, very important there. So now before I get into the actual listing presentation with you guys, I want to go through a few things that I'm going to reference and talk about in the listing presentation. But you're not going to see these live on the presentation, right? So the first thing here I want to talk about is my preparing your home for the market guide. Now I have this in here as a PDF where you can see what my team looks like. And then I have an editable one in here for you too, where you can add your own logo, your name, your team name, your photos. But what this is this is just a proven staging guide, essentially. I don't use property stagers unless it's a unique, very, very unique situation. I walk in there, I'm like, dude, the home's in a beautiful area. Everybody wants to be there, but they got, like 1970 wallpaper up and their furniture looks like crap. And I'm just like at a loss. In that case, I'll pay for the first hour of staging, maybe $250. They got to cover the rest, if we need it. But that's so rare. There's only like one or two times, maybe even on an annual basis that I do that. And we've created this document. What are stagers doing? They're showcasing the furniture and showcasing other things. They're not necessarily selling the features of the home. I found that with this document, I can really advise my clients better, really, in a lot of cases than a stager can, just by following the step-by-step guidelines here in this document. So there's three parts to this document. There's going to be getting their home prepped before the photography. It's like, here's a list of all the things. Here's all these checklists that you need to do for your home, room by room, inside, outside, garage, cabinets, closets. You talked about smell, everything in their house. Here's everything that you need to do to just get your house prepped to look at it as the best product we possibly can. And the cool thing about this guide is this is not telling them to invest money. Right now, there might be some times where you're like, hey, man, these carpets are unsalvageable. Even if you professionally cleaned them, there's like nothing we can do here. I highly recommend that you replace the carpets. And, in certain cases that exists. However, for most sellers out there, they don't have the money to do that. Your average American doesn't have $1,000 in their bank account, their savings account. They can't go out there and, spend, I put new carpet in my home recently, and I've got a little bit of a larger home than maybe the average person, but dude, you're like 15 grand just for freaking carpet in my house, right? And I don't have, I got a lot of tile and stuff too. So that was just for the rooms that need carpet. And most people, your average consumer out there doesn't have that much money to invest in that. So, of course, I'm going to give them those recommendations if they're there. If I feel that they need new carpet, need to paint, then I'm going to give that to them. But what I love about this guide is this is like, hey, dude, just put some sweat equity in here. These are step-by-step things to do with just making your house, without investing money, some of your time to make your house look at its absolute best. So it's three phases, right? So step one is getting the house prepped to look as the best product we possibly can, which is what we're going to do before we bring in the photographers. Then there's a checklist that they need to do like the day of before the photographers show up, so the photographer can then show up their product at its absolute best. Then there's a checklist before every single showing. So you'll see I reference this in the listing presentation. I talk to them about this, and I show them how, once they decide that I'm the real estate agent for them, now I'm going to go through, we have our proven staging guide here, which is proven to get our sellers thousands and thousands more dollars in their pocket. And this is one of the reasons that we are able to sell our clients' homes for a higher dollar amount and put more pocket and or put more money in their pocket at the end of the day than any of our competition. And one of those big reasons is we spend so much time with you up front before your home's even listed, going through our proven staging guide, room by room, showing you exactly what needs to be done to ensure your home shows at its best to get you top dollar. Right. So you're going to see me go through this. So I don't go through this with them, though, until they commit to me as a client. Right. So that's why I just want to explain this now for you. And of course, you can edit this and change anything that you want to change. The beginning here just talks about, some basics. First 15 seconds is when their home makes the first impression. So make sure it looks good, smells good. Talks about, the four main factors that sell a price of home, which is price, terms, marketing, and condition. Talks about price and condition. But the main thing is right here, right? This starts breaking this down. So this is like the pre-list checklist for my sellers. So as I'm going through this with them, and this makes it so easy. Like one of my brand new agents that's fresh out of real estate school that just joins my team, first listing, they just go through the guide. It tells them what to do, right? Like I've sold the thousands of homes. You get to a point, and I don't want to sound like cocky or arrogant or full of myself, but dude, you do this enough times, well, you get it down to a science. Like I know from the second somebody says yes to me to the second their home sells, exactly precisely what needs to be done, when it needs to be done to get them top dollar for their house. I've just done it so many damn times. Been able to create this document from that. So, and I'll talk to you guys about this later, but this also works as a really good lead magnet, right, for potential seller leads and things of value for sell by owners, expireds, other things we'll talk about lead generation. So there's more areas that you can use this in, but it's just walking them through, right? Okay, here's all the things that you need to do in the front yard of your home. I mean, we're going through again, room by room, area by area of the house. So as I'm walking through with them, anything that doesn't apply, I just put a cross through it. Now, if there's things in here that absolutely do not apply to your area, it's editable, so you can just delete it, right? But if it applies in their area, just happens to not apply to their house, like maybe I go there and they don't have any flowers or flower beds, I would just put an X through this, right? So an X would be, obviously, they're not doing anything else, and I just instruct them anything else now it's their choice. They're the boss. I work for them. It is their choice. They don't have to do this stuff. But if they want to get top dollar for their house before the photographer comes, before we list their property and bring in the professional photographer, all these things need to be done. So I'm just walking them through. So this goes through, and you'll just have to read these line by line and see what applies, see what doesn't apply. And of course, it's editable, so you can tweak it how you want to tweak it. But it goes to the front yard, general exterior things on the property. I mean, it talks about the importance of how the front door looks and making sure the front door is washed and clean, and the entryways are swept out. And I mean, I love this thing. It talks about changing light bulbs and cleaning vents and baseboards and these things that just get overlooked constantly. Cleaning the windows and all these little things that can make a big difference, right? Making sure trash cans are discarded, just shit that people just get busy in their lives and they don't think about, right? I mean, we see this stuff every day. Like, what I'm talking about. So it continues going through again, exterior maintenance, then walks through the inside, so general things, getting the home aired out, washing all windows, getting the carpets professionally cleaned, polishing the floors, clean up all the closets, tells them to get rid of things that they've not used in the past 5 years and to pack up everything that they have not used in the past year, which will also help them for moving. Make sure closets look like they have enough room to hold additional items. It's going through all of this stuff. So it goes through general things to bathrooms and the kitchen and each area also very specifically. Each one of these areas, right, that again, a lot of people don't think of, clean oven and keep it clean, even if this means eating out. Just again, shit that people don't really think of when they think about selling their house. So it's just going room by room of all of this, as well as the garage. So this is the checklist. I tell them, like, I have X'd out what doesn't apply. Maybe they don't have any shower curtains. Maybe they have custom, tile shower curtains don't apply. So I'd X that out. right? But all the things that do apply are here. And I just tell them, look, these are the things that need to be done before we bring in our professional photographer, before we list your house on the marketplace, before I bring in our photographers. This is what's going to get your home as the product now listed for sale, to show at its absolute best. Then I can bring in my professional photographers that's going to show your home looking at its absolute best in the best possible light and way and element they possibly can. So these are all those critical things that need to be done. Now, sometimes I get clients that are freaking lazy and don't want to do this stuff. And I just tell them, look, that's up to you. I mean, this is your pocketbook. I work for you. I'll do whatever you want to do. If you want to make less money and make thousands of less on your home, that's up to you. Totally up to you, right? But here's the things that you need to do to get this stuff to really stand out, right? Then, like I said, now, boom. We all that stuff's done. We booked the photographer. Here are the things inside and outside that you want to do before the photographer shows up to make sure that, again, that photographer's showing your home off at the best it possibly can. And then I love this. Right? People get busy. Life happens. So showtime, right? So every showing that we get. So as real estate agents, the only thing that our job is to market the properties as heavily as we possibly can, expose the most amount of buyers, and drive traffic to that property. Every single potential buyer that steps foot in that property is an opportunity. In order to get our clients max dollar for their property and as much money in their pockets as we possibly can, we cannot miss out on opportunities. We want to maximize on every single opportunity. I just tell them that, right? So it's my job to get as much exposure to your property, drive as many people through your property as I possibly can. Each person that sees your property, comes, views your property is an opportunity. In order for us to get you top dollar for your property, we cannot miss out on any opportunities. Your competition are not the buyers out there. Your competition are all the other homes that buyer's seeing. That's your competition, right? We want to make sure that you stand out from everybody else. So before every single showing that you have, and I know that this is work, but it's worth the work, right? To be able to sell your house for top dollar, and then hopefully the quickest amount of time with the least amount of stress to you, it is worth the additional work. So here's a 12-point checklist every time before you have a showing, to make sure that these things are dialed in, that nothing's missed. So again, systems and processes. Just like I got my listing manual checklist, I give my clients a checklist to ensure that this stuff is dialed in. Now, in your area, like you may not have fireplaces and whatever. So you might whatever. Again, what applies or what doesn't apply, just X out. But this gives them that showtime guide. And this is so powerful, you guys. So this is something, again, that you're not going to see in the listing presentation, but you're going to hear me reference multiple times. So I like to have that out. The other thing that you're going to, what I do is when I do my tour, I have this property condition report or property condition form. The sellers aren't seeing this. This is what I pull out when I'm doing my tour, just to make sure I don't miss certain things, that I can, check on the condition, take notes of the property, whatever, as I'm doing a tour. I know that I don't want to miss things. I can forget things, right? So this is the form that I use when I'm having them give me the tour to fill out, which you'll see me go through and talk about. So I just wanted to show you that form. Then from there, I just want to, again, I'm just going to show you the forms that you're going to hear me reference that you're not going to see copies of in the presentation. Like this 48-point marketing strategy, you'll see my listing presentation where I hand this to them. This is a 2-page document. It's stapled. I have it with me. And when I reference it, I hand them a copy of it, but I'm not going through this line by line. This is just a copy for them. So this is my 48-point marketing strategy to get your home sold. Now, it doesn't matter. You could have 27 points. You could have 17 points. You could have 147 points. It doesn't matter, right? It's just the fact that you have a step-by-step plan in place, a step-by-step strategy to get their home sold is what matters. Most real estate agents don't have a plan in place. They go in there shuffling some papers. They got some comps. They're relying on the human connection. That's it to get this listing sold, right? So the fact that you just have a plan, I've had this revamped so many different times, 27 point, 40, 43 point, 48 point. I've even had it higher than 48 points. It's never made a difference, right? So when you're seeing some of this stuff, maybe you're like, well, I don't do those things, Josh. Okay, well, who cares? Like, don't do them. Just put all the points. And this stuff is lame. I'm going to place it in the local MLS. I'm going to place a for sale sign in the front yard. I'm going to send an email blast out to local realtors. I'm going to build your own personal website featuring your home on VoicePad. I'm going to provide you a 24/7 recorded hotline number. I'm going to provide you 24/7 text information. Now, VoicePad, when I VoicePad is a service that I use. automatically builds out the website, automatically produces the recording hotline, automatically has the text information hotline. So this is all one really thing, but because it has 3 different features, I list each one featurely. I'm going to place your property on Facebook. I'm going to advertise with high definition photos. I'm going to place a lockbox on your property, right? So again, I mean, these aren't, you can see here that, I mean, it's easy to come up with this stuff. Coordinate and schedule showings, coordinate access for inspections, coordinate access for the appraiser. Like, no shit, Josh, you're going to do those things, right? But they're all part of this, which just, again, it just makes you look more professional that you have a plan in place. So you have this, copy this, take this, tweak this, however you want to use it. I don't go over this with them in the listing presentation, but I hand them a copy, as you'll see. Okay, so then let me go through before we jump into my listing presentation, because one confusing thing when I show my listing presentation, not confusing thing, but thing that concerns people if you just see my listing presentation, is the guarantees that I offer. So do guarantees really work? Do guarantees really matter? I don't really know, right? That's the honest truth. I don't take mine out because, they work and we're comfortable with it. And, we feel like they differentiate us somewhat, more so than others. Dude, I'm every bit as confident that if I took my guarantees out and had my regular listing presentation without my guarantees, it'd be every bit as successful. I mean, there's no reason for me to do so. And you'll kind of see why, with some of these things that I do, but I say that because I don't want you to sit there and think, oh, well, Josh, I don't feel comfortable doing guarantees, or my broker doesn't allow us to do these guarantees. They have some limiting belief that you can't go out there and list the house. I mean, I really don't think it makes that big of a difference. But, to me, if it can make a 2% difference for the positive, then I'm going to do it, right? Where it does and can make a difference, though, is on the marketing side of things. Like when I'm talking, like one of my guarantees, you'll see here's my 1-day listing agreement. Right? Like we don't have contracts. We believe in accountability. We have a 1-day listing agreement, and I'll go into what this all is here with you guys. But where that really helps is like when it expires, I can sit there and say, hey, look, you can't make a mistake with me. You cannot make the same mistake you made with your last realtor. If I'm not doing everything I said I was going to do, if you're unhappy at any time or decide you want to cancel at any time in the process, you can fire me at any time and relist with somebody else the next day. Right? It ensures and guarantees you can't make the same mistake. So the expired, that's powerful because they just got stuck. Right? They're freaked out that they don't want to relist their house with another real estate agent and have somebody else let them down. And I just show them that can't happen. So, some of these guarantees can help in those different realms. But again, as I share my guarantees, if you're not comfortable doing them, or if you can't do them for whatever reason, I don't want you to have a limiting belief that you can't still go out there and create big success with this. I know so many real estate agents that crush it even without these. Okay, so with that being said, let's go through some of these guarantees. Now, with these different guarantees, you're going to see the guarantees that I have inside my listing presentation. I'm going to go through all the different guarantees I've ever used with success, right? And I'm just going to kind of walk you through how to set up guarantees, how to utilize guarantees, because guarantees work, right? It's just like I have a guarantee with the Bootcamp. Hey, if you go through every single, you got to attend every single live session, the entire session, meaning the live session and Q&A. You have to post your weekly commitments inside the weekly commitment post for in the Facebook group. You have to do all of your homework, all of your action items, and show proof that you did your homework and action items. And if you do all those things, right, at the end, when the program ends, you have 30 days from our last session. And you have to, prove all those things that you've done all those things. But if you did all those things and didn't feel it's worth every single penny, not only will I let you keep all of the content, I will refund your money 100%, no questions asked. As long as those things are proven, right? Well, why is that guarantee powerful? Right? It eliminates the risk. People are like, okay, well, cool. It's a money back guarantee. If I didn't feel it's worth every single penny, I can get my money back, full refund. But look, I've never had anybody that goes to this boot camp that showed up to every single session, that's implemented all the homework, that isn't like, holy shit, this is a $60,000 program, not a $1,000 program. Like I feel guilty. I feel like I should pay Josh more money. I've never had any person ever be able to go out there and take advantage of it, right? I mean, I've had people that are like, oh, dude, Josh, life got in the way and I couldn't participate in the boot camp. I know you got your money back guarantee. Can I get my money back? Right? No, I mean, the stipulation shows you have to show up. You got to do the work. I'm not going to, because you're uncommitted and freaking lazy. I showed up, I committed, right? So it's the same thing here with these guarantees is I offer these guarantees, but I'm creating win-win situations and I'm protecting myself with these guarantees, right? So seller unique proposition guarantees. So again, guarantees can help and will help set you apart from the competition. But more importantly, they help you more so on the lead generation side. It's not a make or break. Again, as I said earlier, so they're not a must. But they definitely can help a little, right? And to me, if I can just get a little bit better in each area of my business, right? If I'm just like 1% better at each area of that sales funnel, that can mean me doubling my business in the next 12 months, right? So all these things compound. So any advertisement that I put out, just as kind of a forewarning, any advertisement that I put out offering the guarantee at the very bottom of my advertisement in small print, the smallest print I possibly can where they can read it, is a little asterisk that says special restrictions may apply. And you're going to see this over the next couple of weeks as we get into our different ads out there, and you're going to see some on the buy side. Like I don't do this personally right now. When I have brand new agents that join my team that aren't in the leads division, I'll have them do this to generate some more instant buyer business. But I've had times where my buyer business was low and I really want to increase my buyer business. I do $500 buyer rebates, but I have a guarantee in place. I have stipulations to meet that guarantee. So it's a win-win, right? So, which I'll talk to you about next week with. So today we're talking about listings, obviously. So then though, I make restrictions part of my agreement with this seller to create win-win programs. And more times than not, I'm turning them down, not the other way around, right? So it's critical, though, to have an agreement stating the guarantee to protect yourself and putting you and the seller on the same page. Keep your guarantees simple. Like for me, dude, I do one-page documents, right? I get them signed with the listing agreement, one-page documents. Now, really important note, this is just kind of a covering my ass and just covering your ass too. Look, dude, I'm not an attorney. I'm a college dropout, right? So I don't pretend to be an attorney. I'm not an attorney, as you guys know. So you might want to run these past your attorney or broker. I'm just showing you what I do, right? And with my guarantees, I've never ran any of these past my attorney. My broker doesn't even really know I do them. I don't care, right? I mean, my broker backs me, so it's good. I mean, I'll check with the Department of Real Estate to make sure I'm compliant, but that's about as far as I take it, right? So protect yourself how you feel. You need to protect yourself. But here is some guarantees that I use and have used in the past with big success. So some examples: 1-day listing agreement, or my fire me guarantee. Your home sold or I buy it. And that's on a separate document, which I'll go through there with you. Your home sold or I will sell it for free. Your home sold in X amount of days or less, or I'll pay you X amount of cash. Flexible commission plans. You pick what you pay me. This I find very helpful in, if you have a lot of discount brokerages in your area, and if you're struggling competing with discount brokers, I use this for years. Now, I'm not a discount broker. I don't very rarely do I ever lower my commission unless it's an absolute must. It's just a great way to combat it, right? Which I'll show you here, all of these, and I'll go through these. So first off, let's start off with my 1-day listing agreement, my fire me guarantee. Now, I'll tell you what I do, and then also other ways that you can use this. So my 1-day listing agreement, the fire me guarantee, it's the exact same damn thing. Right. But what happened in my area is everybody, all these top agents were doing fire me guarantees and easy exit agreements, and everybody was using the same verbiage. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to differentiate myself. So when I say I came up with, I found another agent, not my area, but doing this in another area. I stole it from him, right? R&D, rip off and deploy. But the 1-day listing agreement, right? It creates more curiosity, and I've just found it to be very powerful. So with these two guarantees, these are the only guarantees that I do that I don't have a special guarantee form or like a 1-page document for. So both of these, whatever I'm doing, again, they're the same thing. I use now the 1-day listing agreement. I just put them in the listing agreement and the additional terms in the listing agreement. So here's the verbiage, my 1-day listing agreement. Here's what this states, and this will be in the additional terms of the state listing agreement. If after 24 hours of your home being listed on the MLS, as long as we do not have an executed purchase contract, if you wish to cancel this listing agreement, you are able to do so anytime for any reason without any hassle, cost, or obligation. right? So I do a 6-month listing agreement. This is just the additional terms. And to be honest with you, vast majority, they just forget about it, right? But it just eases their comfort. You got to understand, for the last 17 years plus straight, the number one concern for home sellers across the whole entire country is being stuck in a long-term contract with a real estate agent that overpromises, underdelivers, and doesn't do what they said they're going to do. I just eliminate that whole entire concern. Just like on the listing, setting the appointment. They want the information. They don't want to be pressured. So I'm eliminating that concern. I'm just trying to eliminate their concerns. So it increases their ability to say yes to me. Now, for me, I do this and I stick to this. They can cancel, no cost, hassle, or obligation. However, I know a lot of boot camp members that have taught this too that kind of get freaked out about this. They're like, "Oh, dude, no cost." Man, like I got, professional photos into this, whatever. So, I know a lot that charge like a $500 cancellation fee. Look, if after 24 hours your home being listed on the MLS, as long as you don't have an executed purchase contract, if you wish to cancel this agreement, you are able to do so at any time for any reason without any hassle or obligation, with a $500 cancellation fee. Once the $500 is collected, listing will be canceled, within 24 hours or whatever that may be. You can protect yourself with this if you want to, right? For me, I have so few people that are canceling. It happens. I mean, I get several a year that cancel for whatever reason, but for me, dude, usually if it's not a mesh or they have a change of heart, I let them out anyway. So for me, this is a no-brainer. But you can do other things to protect yourself with it, right? So this right here, I found to be the most powerful guarantee out of everything I've ever done. But again, you can put stipulations in there. I was talking with one of our alumni members who past bootcamp member, now in the mastery alumni member, and he has them pay $250, right? To really reimburse for marketing and signposts. When he breaks down his costs, it's $250 to get the signposts put up, professional photography, whatever. So if they want to cancel, he'll let them cancel. $250 though check made out to his LLC, not to his brokerage, his LLC. As soon as it's received by him, then he cancels the listing agreement, right? So fire me guarantee, same exact thing, other than with it, if after 24 hours, it's just at any time, right? Everything else is identical. I've just found that the 1-day listing agreement verbiage creates more curiosity, because, and here's the cool thing about this. Other agents hear this, and of course they judge and they start hating right away. Oh, Josh, like how the hell does he do this? And, he's, reckless and blah, 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 whatever it may be. Same thing with my flexible commission plan. I had actually an agent that I know on a personal level too. And I've always, we've always been civil, and I've thought I've always treated him well, but we went head to head together on a listing presentation with him and one of my teammates recently. And, he told my teammate that, he's like, "Oh, Josh is the Josh's team, they're the freaking Walmart of real estate, right? Because they saw our flexible commission plan, right? I guarantee you, I get higher commissions and higher fees than that cat does all day long. Like I know him. I know what he does for his business. Like I create, right? But that's his perception. Instead of sitting there saying, "Oh God, how does this 1-day listing agreement work? God, Josh is killing it. I wonder how this works," right? Most people just go into hate mode. So, and you just got to expect that. When you start having success and you start doing some of these out-of-the-box things, you're going to get some people talking shit about you inside your marketplace, other realtors. And that's okay. At the end of the day, dude, they're my competition. I don't care. Like if they, does McDonald's care that Burger King's talking smack about them or runs maybe an ad that kind of does a steam? No. McDonald's like, dude, I'm on top. We're on top all day long. We crush Burger King all day long. No, right? So they don't care what Burger King's opinion of them is. Their opinion is their own business, right? So just kind of be aware sometimes that some of these things will come up with that. Like for a while, I was running, and I'm probably going to start redoing this again soon because we had a lot of success with it. I stopped doing it we just didn't have the infrastructure in place that we really needed, and whatever excuses, reasons. At the end of the day, I got freaking lazy and should have stopped, and I want to reintroduce this. But I was doing what's called the 990 listing program. So people say that, like, 990 listed. What the hell? Josh is listing homes for $999? Nope. Right? I'm listing homes at 6 or 7% commission. There's no 990, right? But what the 990 is, and it worked really good with FSBOs, is I list their house at a full commission. We just let them reserve the right. If they find their own buyer from their own efforts, it can't come from my MLS, can't come from my signs, can't come from any of my efforts, right? It has to come from their own efforts. And of course, they have to be able to prove that. If they find that buyer, I'll do all the paperwork for $990 flat fee. Right? It never happens. I mean, I can't say it. It's happened like one time, right? But I sold so many damn homes and got so many listings out of it. The seller just loves the ability to, hey, right? If I get somebody from my own network, right? Essentially, it allows them to kind of FISBO it on their own, but they can't put up a sign on their own, right? They can't. I mean, there's stipulations to it, right? Really the only stipulation is they can't put up a sign, so there's really no stipulations, but it worked really well. But then guess what, dude? Local agents hated me. What the hell? Josh is the biggest discount broker out there, blah, blah. No, dude, not a discount broker at all, right? It was just an out of the box strategy. And again, I'm going to implement that. Actually, sometimes I forget about these things, and talking about it with you now revived it. So it's something I'm going to start right away, and I'll keep you guys updated on, what I do there. Okay, so certain samples of how these work, and we'll talk about this more next week. But this is like on the back of your business cards, flyers, right? Like, hey, fire me guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied, you can fire me anytime. No hassle, no obligation, no contracts. You're always 100% in control. 1 day listing agreement, no contracts, only accountability. If I do not do everything I said I was going to do, you can fire me immediately. No hassle, no obligation. You're always 100% control. What if you potential sellers in areas were seeing that on the marketing materials that you're sending out, when we know that that's their number one concern? You're easing their number one concern. So again, we'll go into that more next week as we start talking about marketing. All right, so your home sold in 59 days or less. Now, this can be less or more, or I pay you X amount of cash. Right? So how these work now, when I'm identifying these dates here, I always look at the current average sales price in my area. Now, I'm not sales price, sales time frame. And sales meaning goes pending, from active to pending, right? So when and I know most of you know this, but in case you're brand new, when you see people that are like, oh, sold in 4 days, they didn't sell the house in 4 days. It was on the market for 4 days before they got an accepted purchase contract, and it was probably under contract for another 30 days, before it actually closed escrow. So I'm looking at the average current sales time for my area, meaning hits the market, goes under contract. So I'm always adjusting this based on those days. So I give myself the average amount of days that's out there. It might be 27 days. It might be as high as 97 days or 117 days, right? If it's an extreme, more of a buyer's market. So it was sold in X amount of days or less, or I pay you X amount of cash. I started this off with $500, right? Then eventually I got it to the point where I was paying $2,500. But here again, there's protections in place, which are critical. So here's the agreement, and you'll see how this protects you. If I'm unable to get your home under contract within 59 days of your home being placed on the MLS, then I will pay you $2,500. There are stipulations to this guarantee, and these stipulations are explained below. Number one, seller must initially list the property at the listing realtor's recommended listing price. Now, I'm not underpricing homes, right? I'm pricing homes right. So I'm able to list the property, give myself the average amount of days to sell the property for that time in that area, at what my recommended list price is. Right? So you should be able to go out there and freaking sell it. Home must be available to be shown between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., 7 days per week, and must be in presentable condition, and available to show within 1 hour of any and all showing requests. Homes must be placed on an MLS lockbox. Final sales price must be equal to or above $200,000. Homes with a purchase price under $200,000 do not qualify. Full listing commission must be 6% to qualify for the program / guarantee, right? So here at this point, the reason I have 200 grand in here is anything under 200 grand, I list at 7%, right? So I'm not going to take a listing. It's just not worth my time to do that. Above 200 grand, we'll list them at 6%. I always say that we're not the most expensive, we're not the cheapest. Plus I charge a transaction fee in addition to commission, which I'll talk to you about later. So we get some more scratch there from it. But I do that because I know that with my team and our structure and our experience, we provide a superior service. So I have no problem charging more. But in this case, let's just say $2,500, right? The house lists sells at 200 grand, 6% commission. That's a $6,000 commission. And my 3% that's coming to me, I split it with the other agent, of course, right? So I'm paying out $2,500. I still made $3,500. So even worst case, if I owe them this money, I still make something, right? So then definition of sold is a pending/executed purchase contract, meaning I'm guaranteeing we will get an accepted offer that we will put into escrow within 59 days. If for some reason that offer is to fall out of escrow, the time frame is to reset and go back to zero. Number 7 here, if I'm unable to get you an accepted purchase contract on your property within that X amount of days, then upon a successful close of escrow, I will pay you $2,500 in the form of a commission credit at close of escrow. If your property is not successfully closed escrow with me or with myself as your listing agent, this guarantee is null and void, and you are not to receive the $2,500. So they have to sell their home with me. So in this, how these stipulations work, worst case, absolute worst case, if I have to pay it for them, which I shouldn't, right? Because I've set myself up to win here. Worst case, I still make $3,500. Right? So again, it's just a good way to, hey, I'm, 1 day listing agreement, like I showed you with that verbiage, your home sold in 59 days less, so I paid $2,500 with cash, right? We're easing their number one concern. We're also putting more money where our mouth is and offering performance guarantees, right? So these things, again, these things just can help you get to the listing table more than if you don't have them. That's where these things really come into play. So by signing below, you're stating that you understand and agree to these terms. So we all sign it, boom, date it, put it part of the contract. Now, your home sold in X amount of days, so same thing, average list or average selling time for the area, or let's all sell it for free agreement. Now, this is way more risky because the above, at least you're making $3,500 worst case scenario. And that's it, you might only give $500. So worst case, you're making $5,500. Now, on the free scenario, they're still going to be responsible to pay the buyer's agent, but you waive all of your commission plus you have your costs involved. Where I find this work, like the differentiation of markets that this works good in is this works really good in more of an average price point marketplace. But let's say I'm selling luxury homes. If I'm selling stuff that's more luxury, like somebody that's making, let's say $800,000 a year, $2,500, dude, is freaking pocket change to them, right? But if I'm selling $1 million home and I'm waiving my commission potentially, and they can make $30,000, the higher the price point, this agreement works better in. But I would only ever recommend that you do this one right here if you know that area inside and out. Like you've got to know the inventory, you got to be able to price homes good. Like you got to know this, right? Because otherwise, you're going to be waiving that commission. So everything in these stipulations is exactly the same as the one above, other than point number 7. So number 7, hey, if I'm unable to get you an accepted purchase contract on your property within 59 days, then upon a successful close of escrow, I will waive my portion of the listing agreement commission of 3%. You are still obligated to pay the buyer's realtor 3% commission fee. If it does happen after 59 days, if prior to the full commission be paid, that I find the buyer, myself and my firm are also subject to that buyer's 3% commission, right? So again, we all understand, boom, sign, done. All right, so the flexible commission plan. This is, I've just found really can help really good, in those when you're dealing with discounters, right? I haven't had to personally use this one in some time, just because I've, got the name, the reputation, my area, whatever. It's just, however, if, my listings were down and I had a lot of discounters in my area, which we got discounters in our area, but they're really not competition to us at this point. But this is just a good way to combat those without really discounting your commission. So here's what this looks like. All right, so I just tell them at the top here, there's a lot of moving parts in the home selling process, and many of those I'm unable to control. For example, the value the home appraiser sets for your home. However, the things I can control, I believe, must be done to far exceed your expectations. My goal is to far exceed all of your expectations with my level of service. However, I do not like to just talk about it. I like to prove it and allow you to choose at the time of accepting an offer. So let's stop there for a second. When they accept a purchase contract, that is of the height of the transaction. They're on cloud nine. They're stoked. They're excited, right? This is before, the buyer comes in and asks for a shit ton of repairs or credits or whatever. Like, this is usually the highest point of the process. So at that time, you'll be given this form and have the opportunity to pick which commission plan you pay me based on my level of service. So below are the 3 commission plan options. So real quick, and this states this down here, that the buyer's realtor fee of 3% is in addition to this. So when you see like 4%, this doesn't mean that I took a 4% listing. This would mean a 7% listing. This would be 6%. This would be 5%. So here's what I do in this, you guys, is I present this to them and I let them know this. I sign a 6-month listing agreement at my full commission amount, right? So in estates down here, homes under $200,000 are excluded from this. It has to have a final sales price of $200,000 and above. But I list the property 6-month listing agreement, 6% full commission. Then at the time of an accepted purchase contract, I give them this and give them the opportunity to fill this out. So option 1, Joshua Smith far exceeded our expectations and deserves a raise. We choose to pay Joshua Smith a listing commission fee of 4%. So this is them agreeing to bump me up 1% and pay me, which that's going to be at least $2,000. I've never had anybody check option number 1. Right? I've had a lot of people like, dude, you killed it. You did amazing. When this closes, we're gonna take you out. Nicest restaurant in the area, drinks, all that's on us. But we're not giving an extra point in commission, and I don't expect to. Right? The whole point of this is to line up right here, which is what we agreed upon. Option 2, Joshua Smith met all our expectations, and we are going to pay him the initial agreed upon listing commission fee of 3%. It's like, hey, here's what we agreed on. I've done my job. I brought you a purchase contract. You're going to honor what you already agreed to. We're checking here. And this is, the goal is to get everybody to line up here. Option 3, Joshua Smith did not meet our expectations and his services need improvement. We choose to pay him less than the initial agreed upon commission and his listing commission be 2%. Right? So it takes some guts. Like you're the hero. You brought them the purchase contract. It takes some damn guts for them to check option 3. I've had 2 people my whole entire career, and I've used this, 1,000 times, check option number 3. And I'll tell you this right now, both times I screwed up, right? It was during growing pains. I didn't follow through with certain things. I missed, meetings, whatever. I deserved to get paid less in those situations. But without, and I can honestly say, right, that I deserved it. Outside of the times where I screwed up personally, everybody lands right here. So it's a great way to combat discount brokers, because guess what? My marketing might be something like, the 1-day listing, home with a 1-day listing agreement. If you're not 100% satisfied, fire me anytime. You're always in control. We don't believe in contracts, only accountability. Your home sold in 59 days or less, so I pay you $2,500, right? Flexible commission plans. You pick what you pay me at closing, right? So they see that. They're like, shit, dude, like we get to pick our commission. Josh backs his guarantees, backs whatever, top agent in the area. We're going to get the most money in our pocket. Like when I get to the table, the whole thing I'm trying to avoid here is that hey, what's your commission? Like if I get asked that on the phone, well, hey, I'm looking for the agent that will give me the best price. What's your commission percentage? I talked to an agent yesterday that said you do it 5%. Can you do that? Will you match that? Hey, look, we offer a flexible commission plan where we allow you to pick what you're going to pay me at closing. The next best step is set a time for me to come by your property, see your home, right? Do a tour of your property. I go right back. I just defer that, go right back in the appointment setting script so I can show my value to them, and then pitch this to them and make that happen, right? So those are, again, a lot of guarantees that I've used over the past that work extremely well, and some of these I still use today. Now, let me walk you through my sold or I buy it guarantee. Now, my sold or I buy it guarantee, just so you guys know, right? I am not buying these homes. I do not buy residential real estate to flip. I freaking hate flipping homes. If you love to flip homes, awesome. For me, I freaking hate it. I think it's a total waste of my time. I can make more money selling homes than I can flipping homes. It's a hell of a lot more risk. And I mean, if one of these is a steal and I can pick it up and it's a great rental, that's a different story, right? But here's what I do with these is, in order to do it the way that I do it, you got to have some investors that you've worked with, that you like, that you trust, that get deals done, that can perform. But over the years, it's taken time and over the years to develop these relationships. But I got numerous investors that we work with, that we know, that we like, that we trust, and that we know will perform on these. So this allows me then to feed additional business to my investors, right? And if my investor buys it, I get the full 6% commission. So it's awesome, right? So I've eliminated my risk, and increase the amount of business that we can go out there and do. And the reality is, like, I don't know what the stat is, but I might do 6 homes a year. So that do this. So last year sold, of our 651 homes, let's just say 300 of those were listings. Of the 300, maybe 6 took this plan. And anybody that ever takes this plan, it's typically a situation where they're like a hoarder. Their house looks like absolute crap. They're not in a situation to be able to get rid of their junk. And really, my investor offer isn't going to be much less than they're able to get on the open marketplace, because their house is in such bad condition and they don't want to be bothered. And so all of these things, like, I'm only interested in win-win. I'm not here to take advantage of the consumer or anything like that. It's only win-win. Everything's fully disclosed up front. Again, most people never take advantages, be able to see how I pitch these in this verbiage that I utilize. So here's our sold or we buy it guarantee. So we have two different methods with this. We have our sold or we buy it, and then we also have our immediate buyout program. So this first document here, this first page, just talks about the overall program. Hey, this program was first started due to the large amount of clients that we had that wanted to buy their next home or purchase a home to be built, but could not qualify for both homes, or not wanting to take on the risk of carrying 2 mortgages. These sellers did not want to get stuck in a position where they sold their current home, can't find a new home, and end up being desperate to purchase a home. In the current environment, sellers are almost never willing to accept an offer from a buyer whose offer is contingent upon the sale of their home. This program solves the issue in a couple different ways. Number one, we offer an immediate buyout option with an optional rent back for up to 6 months. You'll receive a cash offer within 72 hours of listing with us. So they have to list with us first, then they get the offer. If you accept it, your sale will close within 14 days from acceptance. You will have the option to rent the property back for a predetermined amount of time. Duration of lease and monthly lease amount will be included with the offer to purchase, allowing you the time and flexibility while searching for your dream home. We also offer an option that allows the homeowner to list their home on the market with Revista Real Estate Group, try to obtain a top dollar offer. And if we're not able to get an accepted offer on your home within 90 days, we will guarantee to buy it at a predetermined purchase price in terms. Now, they don't ever have to accept the offer. This just gives them kind of a worst case backup offer. Now, a lot of real estate agents that offer these, they're like creating all these stipulations where they never have to buy this house. Right? It's like, look, if you ever receive an offer that you do not accept, that's within a penny of our guaranteed purchase offer, the offer is null and void. No, dude, we don't have that. Like, this is just an actual offer. Anytime you can accept these, we want to sell them the properties. I don't push them on these, but it's like, dude, if they get these, I get 6%. I get to represent them in the listing, and I get to represent my investor, the buyer. I want them to do these. I'm not going to push them. I'm here to serve and support their interests at the highest level, whichever route they want to go. But dude, we want to buy these properties. Plus, then when my seller or my investor flips them, then guess who gets the listings? Me, right? So these can turn into really 9% worth of commissions. So when you list with us and choose this program, you're guaranteed to receive a cash offer within 72 hours from Revista Real Estate Group. This guarantee will become part of the listing agreement. The offer you receive will typically be at a discount to market, but you will be provided an option that allows you to comfortably search for your next home. So we have some benefits, maximum flexibility while searching for your next home, close to sell the existing home. I'm not going to go through all these step by step, but you can see all these benefits that we have here. Our aim is to make the transition from your current home to your next home as hassle-free as possible. And this is just one of the many ways we can assist you in doing so. Okay, so then the sold or we buy it guarantee. So we put the subject property here. So this is just the information, what we give them, what we tell them about the program. If it's something they're interested in, this here is the actual agreement. So subject property address. Now, if they choose the immediate buyout option, there is no special agreement for that, because we enter escrow instantaneously. So if they accept it, they just sign the purchase contract and we enter escrow, right? But again, they're given, when we're presenting this, like, hey, here's what we can get you on the open market. Here's what we can get you for top dollar on the open market. Here's exactly what you'll net. Here's what you're going to net if you accept this offer. Here's the terms. It may be 40 grand less. Right? I'm just telling them, hey, here's all the information. You need to make the best decision for yourself and your family. We don't care which way you go. It's whatever's best for you. We're here to help you represent or accomplish your real estate goals, whatever path you may choose. So we enter that escrow right away. So this is only if they are doing the sold or we buy it, which again, we give them an offer within 72 hours of listing with us. We put it on the regular marketplace at any time. Within 90 days, that offer is valid for 90 days. They can choose to accept the offer. It's valid for 90 days. They can accept it for 90 days, but they never have to. It's kind of a worst case backup scenario offer. With this, we have stipulations. Again, must be listed on the MLS for sale sign, must be have a lockbox, must be available, just like all the stipulations that we talked about before. I don't have a price stipulation on here because my investors don't really care about price. This could be a $150,000 listing. They don't care. Home must be listed at a minimum of 6%. So if it's below 200 grand, I'm listed at 7%. Seller may choose to cancel and not participate in this contract anytime. Seller wishes to cancel this contract. All terms and conditions are to be considered voided, not honored. Same thing with the one-day listing agreement. Hey, that can still apply. But if you execute on it, all of this is voided. Cash purchase contract will be presented to you within 72 hours and valid for 90 days of receipt. After 90 days, offer no longer is valid. We use Arizona Association's Realtors Purchase Contract. Purchase contract will be written in the name of one of Revisto's investor clients. All terms and conditions of the offer will be presented again. AR purchase contract. Not all properties will qualify for this. Not all properties will qualify for this program. The eligibility of any home to participate in the guarantee program shall be determined at the sole discretion of Revisto's investor client. It may be dependent upon additional discretionary factors. Like, for example, my investors will not buy mobile homes, right? They won't buy, there's just certain things, certain environmental issues, but most of the homes that we're listing qualify. So it's more rare that they don't than they do. It's understood that no home shall participate in this program or guarantee until such eligibility is determined by the purchaser, until this contract is fully executed by the seller and by the purchaser. If any of the above conditions not fully met during the listing contract period, this contract to be voided. It's our intent this program to utilize win-win, blah, blah, blah. So they sign, we sign. So they sign all this. We list the property, they sign all this. Then within 72 hours, I bring them the offer. Right. So, again, this sold or we buy it, these immediate buyout programs. And the cool thing is like nobody does these. Very few agents do them because they're like, oh crap, what if I get stuck buying these properties? Right. Well, number one, we want to get stuck buying them, but it's my investors that are buying them and they pick and choose the price that they want them at, right. So for them, dude, my investors are like begging for these. They're begging for these. Right. So, there's again, ways that you can protect yourself that make all this stuff a win-win. So I wanted to share these with you guys first, before I actually got into the listing presentation, because I don't, as you see my listing presentation, this stuff can create confusion. All right. So now we prep for the listing appointment. At this point, I personally do my listing presentation on my iPad. Right. I like to present it on my iPad. So I'll have my iPad where I'm doing my listing presentation. I'll have my laptop with me, which is where my cloud CMA report is saved on the desktop. Then I'm going to have my 48-point marketing strategy document with me. I'm going to have my how to prep your home for sale guide with me. I'm going to have my seller's guide. And like I said earlier, I don't even go through that with them like we do on the buy side. I just give it to them as a copy. Because if I don't get the listing, whether I get the listing or not, they keep the 48-point marketing strategy document. They keep the how to prep your home for sale guide document, and they keep the seller's guide. So those, I give them those, whether I get it or not get it, those are just left with them. So it's just more crap to give them, if you will. So then outside of that, I've got my statistical CMA report that I have that breaks down all the cost, price per square foot, all of that stuff, which I'll elaborate on later and why I have that and why that's important. Then outside of that, it's just my purchase contract agreement, right? And you can fill out your purchase contract agreement, before, or you can just leave it totally blank and not have it filled out. You can do it either way. I've done it either way. I used to always have it blank until I had a full-time assistant that, could fill them out for me with the basic information before I went on there. So I have all of that. And then I carry a lockbox, right? So, and I don't carry a briefcase. And I do this intentionally. Not saying that you can't carry a briefcase, right? But this is just what works for me. I have all of this stuff and it's all organized. So I have my laptop, then I'll have, the guides, then all the paperwork, and it's all paperclip nice, right? I've got my iPad on the top of that. Then, and like my left, that's under my left arm. Then under like my left pinky is the lockbox. So it's organized, it's not sloppy, but it's all there. But I want them to see that my hands are full. And as I showed you inside my listing manual, I like to pull up to the property 15 minutes early. Like I like to visualize my sign in the front yard. I'm doing affirmations. This is my listing. I'm visualizing my sold sign on that property, my coming soon sign on that property. If I'm going to be doing open houses there, I'm visioning all my open house signs out there. All of this stuff, I'm amping myself up. It gives me a couple minutes to collect all my belongings, then ring that doorbell 10 minutes early, which is very important, right? So I want to show them that I respect their time, that I'm timely. So I'm very strict on ringing that doorbell 10 minutes early. No earlier, no later. Also, real quick as a side note, dress the part, dude. At the end of the day, what are we selling? We're not selling houses. We're selling our clients on us, that we're the real estate professional that can help them through this experience. We facilitate a process. We facilitate an experience of helping them accomplish their real estate goals. If we cannot carry ourselves well, if we don't look professional, can't carry ourselves well, they're going to have zero faith in us. If I show up all sloppy and looking like crap, right? They're going to be like, dude, you can't even market yourself. How the hell are you going to market my, $500,000 property? So especially on the listing side, like personally, I've never been on a listing presentation where I haven't worn a suit. Right? Like I'd rather be overdressed than underdressed. I want to look the best, talk the best, speak the best, smell the best. I want everything to be the best. Now, yeah, you see me today, right? Rocking a GSD shirt I only shave like once a week, if that. So I always got freaking, scruff hanging off my face. I look like a bum, okay. But I don't go on appointments anymore. I'm not working with buyers and sellers. When I was working with buyers and sellers, man, you always saw me look the part. I don't care what I got to do. I will look the part at all times. And again, I'm very diligent on this. I want to be the best dressed. I want to talk the best, present the best, be the most timely, smell the best, talk the best, have the most confidence, all of these things. So I ring the doorbell. Seller answers the door. I look them right in the eye, reach out my hand, shake their hand, introduce myself. Hey, Joshua Smith, whatever their name is, right? Introduce myself to them. I just thank them. Hey, and all these scripts are in the manual, so you don't have to worry about writing these down. Hey, thank you so much for the opportunity again to meet with you today about potentially listing your home for sale. So what I would like to do, so this goes back to me, just like I did inside the appointment setting script. Now I'm instructing them of what we're going to do here. So what I would like to do now, and this is why I have all my stuff hanging out in my, without the briefcases, I tap it with their eyes will follow where my hand goes. What I would like to do now, and I tap my belongings, is set my belongings at the kitchen table, as this is where we are going to meet. Then once I set my belongings at the kitchen table, I'm going to ask that you give me a tour of your property. Then after the tour, as we talked about on the phone, I'm going to go through my step-by-step marketing strategy to go out there and expose your home to the most amount of buyers out there, get the most amount of buyers through your property. Ultimately, that's what's going to lead to you getting a top dollar offer. Then after that, I have ran an in-depth market valuation report on your property. We're going to go through all the comps. I'm going to give you my professional opinion of what the value of your home is. Sound good? They always say yes. Then I have them lead to the kitchen table. This is where we're meeting. Deals sign at the kitchen table. Things get done at the kitchen table. I don't want to do it in the living room. I don't want to have like each spouse on the side of me playing the damn swivel game like it's a really good ab oblique workout, but it doesn't get deals signed. I want them sitting across from me. I can have my iPad position at a 45-degree angle so I can see it. They can both see it. I want to read their body language. I want to see them. I want them right there in front of me. So lead it to the kitchen table. I'm leading the process here. This is very important, right? I don't get very rarely, I don't want to say never because there's always an exception, but very rarely do I get anybody that's like, oh, dude, I just want to know the price. What's your commission? What's the price? Right? No, because I'm leading the process. I show up with confidence. I'm leading the process. I'm dressed, to the nines. I'm professional. I'm timely. I've already reminded them multiple times of what this is. So I set my belongings at the kitchen table. Then I remind them again about the tour. Okay, so now what I'm going to have you do or ask that you do is give me a tour of your property. So as you're giving me a tour of your property, I want you to point out all the features of the property, any updates or upgrades that you personally done to the property, and most importantly, I want you to point out the things inside your property that you fell in love with that ultimately led to the decision of you choosing this as your home. More likely than not, the buyer of your home is going to fall in love with this home for the same exact reasons that you did. So I'm going to showcase everything on your home and market everything extremely in depth and extremely aggressively. But those areas, right, that you really fell in love with the home on, we're going to make sure to market those, that much more. Because again, more likely than not, our buyer is going to buy the home for the same reasons that you buy it for. So a quick timeout. At this point now, I've got, when I say quick timeout, that's me wanting to talk to you guys and like taking time out from what I'm saying to the potential client. This is when I'm going to have my property condition form filled out inside my notebook. And I start, that's where I'm filling out. But really quickly, you guys, right? Is that true that the buyer is going to fall in love with the house for the same reason that they're going to fall in love with? To be fully transparent and honest, I have no freaking clue. Like, it sounds like it would be, to me, it makes sense, right? If I had a bet on it, I would bet absolutely, right? But I don't really know. We don't know, right? My guess is, yeah, that's a very true statement, but I really have no way to back it. So I don't really know, but here's what I do know, is when you say certain things like this, it differentiates. Other real estate agents aren't using this verbiage, right? So it's these little things that add up. This differentiates you from other real estate professionals that they've been talking to, right? It shows them that you're serious about getting them top dollar, paying attention to it. You think a discount broker walking in their property that's going to list their property at 4 or 5% is asking these types of questions? No. But by me asking these types of questions differentiates me from those. Discount brokers discount because they don't take the time to sharpen their own skill set. So the only way for them to get business is to discount, right? I don't want to discount, right? I'm going to sharpen my skill set, get as much money as I possibly can, and prove and show them and convince them that I am the real estate agent to get them top dollar. And asking these little questions 100% have a huge impact on that. Okay, so now it's tour time, and always start with the tour. The reason being is the human connection happens during the tour, right? So this is where, the Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People comes in, where, yeah, during the tour, I'm filling out the property condition report. I want to see the property, right? But I don't need them to be like, oh, well, here's this bathroom and here's the whatever. I can see it's a bathroom. Right? But if I have specific questions, I'll ask specific questions. And of course, I'll let them talk about the property. But I'm looking for ways during the tour to develop the human connection. How is a human connection developed? Through the Ford analogy, as Dale Carnegie called it. Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, dreams. In our situation, meaning, their real estate dreams. So I'm looking for opportunities to learn more about their family, learn more about their occupation, learn what they do for recreational, for fun, right? So if I see pictures of cool trips and vacations that they've taken, I'll stop by, hey, yeah, where is this? Man, that looks like such an amazing time, right? And as Dale Carnegie says in How to Win Friends and Influence People, if you haven't read that book, it's probably the most important book as a real estate professional I could ever read. It's about being interested, not interesting. I don't want to see some epic trip that they maybe took to, where Costa Rica and be like, oh, I've been to Costa Rica too. Oh, it's so awesome. What'd you guys do? Oh, we did that too. It's not about me. They don't care about me. It's about them, right? People like you because of how you make them feel about themselves. At your funeral, you are going to be remembered on how you made people feel. They don't like you because they think you're cool. Nobody likes me because they think I'm cool. They might like to spend time with me because of how I make them feel about themselves, right? People feel good about themselves and feel important about themselves when you're interested in them. People like to talk about their number one favorite subject, which is themselves. Ask engaging questions, be interested, not interesting, right? So when I go into their kids' rooms, whatever, I'm looking to different ways to ask questions, find out about, again, their family, what they do for work, what they do for their recreation, and again, what their real estate dreams are, which we'll identify later. I had a boot camp member. This was maybe like 5 or 6 boot camps ago, but was like, hey, I was talking to my broker. My broker said to not do the tour first because then if, they're not in agreement on price, then we're just wasting our time. So to start with price. I'm like, dude, maybe your broker's had a success with that. So I don't want to hate on your broker, but from my experience, that's like the worst freaking advice you could ever be given, right? It's the human connection that develops the trust that then when I'm delivering that price to them, gets them to believe me in price. The bigger the connection, the bigger the trust, the more likely they are going to listen to me. This is why I always start with the tour. Just like last week, we started with the home buyer dream home form first, because I always start with a connection piece first. All right, so we're doing the tour. I'm focusing on the human connection, getting all the information that I need. Now I've seen the property. Now we sit back down at the kitchen table because this is where we're going to meet. At this point, I thank them for the tour. Hey, thank you so much for the tour. You got an absolutely beautiful home. And again, I truly appreciate you taking the time to give me that tour and show me your home here. So what I would like to do now is I'm going to go through my step-by-step marketing strategy to expose your home to the most amount of buyers out there, ultimately drive the most amount of buyers into your home to see your home. At the end of the day, real estate's a numbers game. The more buyers we get through your property, the higher likelihood we have of somebody falling in love with your property and putting in a top-dollar offer. Right. So I want to go through my step-by-step marketing plan of action to be able to accomplish that. Then after that, I'm going to get into my market valuation report that I've ran and give you my recommendation on what your list price is. So a quick timeout. You can see now at this point, I've reminded them what we're going to do now 4 times. Right, between the phone calls. So at this time, like now they know what's up. And the reason I keep doing this, and I'm repetitive with this, is as I'm doing my listing presentation, my marketing plan of action, I don't want their mind thinking, dude, what's the price? What's the price? Tell me the price. Tell me the price. Tell me the price. They already know that's coming. I've already talked this 4 times about them. So this is why, like these things, you got to be very intentional about these things to be able to lead this process. All right. So when I open my listing presentation, and guys, I believe in presenting, right? So like, dude, I got my listing presentation on Windex polish, same thing with my computer. Like I don't want to have smudges on there. Or if you're like me and your kids borrow your listing presentations and sneeze on it. And like, I want to, I mean, that's when I first got my iPad. I guess now my kids have separate iPads, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like I want all of this to be clean. Also, I'm going to have my presentation up. So when I open my iPad, bam, it's here. And this is what starts. Right. So now before I actually get into the listing presentation, I set the stage to overcome the 2 biggest obstacles, the 2 biggest objections, if you will, that sellers typically have if there's an objection. Now, I'll tell you this, right? Because I follow this process, I'm so intentional about this. I've role played this over and over so many times. And you guys, it doesn't take years to do this. You can become a rock star listing agent in 90 days. Like if you role play this on your own every single night for 3 hours over the next 90 days to get this stuff dialed in, regardless how many listing presentations you go on, you will be a freaking rock star. You will dominate your competition, even though they might be in this business 15 years, you might be in this 90 days, you can crush them all day long. Most real estate agents that have been in this business for 15 years have repeated the same shitty 15 years over and over and over 15 times and somehow survived, right? So like you can fast forward your trajectory of success with this. Very rarely do I ever have any objections, right? I mean, and this isn't, I mean, this is just the truth, right? I'm not, trying to make that like, it's not because I'm awesome or I'm great at this or I'm a great salesperson, right? It's because I've just learned to develop a great presentation, shows the value, sells the value, where cost is no longer an object. If at the end of this, if they truly have faith with the connection with all these things, but this is why, like how you set the appointment to how you show up to the appointment to how you do the tour, all these little things add up. It's not one thing that you do that's going to create success. It's all these tiny little things that compound that they're like, holy shit, man, you're our guy. I don't care that you're charging 6% and we can get this done by 4%. Like we know, we have faith right now that you're going to get more money in our pocket than anybody else. So typically the only time I'm having a conversation is when I'm pointing out what the commission fee is going to be in the listing agreement. Whether I'm doing 6%, 7%, dude, like it's just typically a non-issue because I set so much value during the presentation. I convinced them that I'm the guy for the job. And that's how I've set this presentation up. Objections are almost always a lack of education. A great presentation will educate them through the process and convince them that you are the best person for the job. However, just in case, because like I said, almost never, but they still come up. Right? So I plant the seed right here, right now to overcome the two biggest objections, which is price and commission right up front. So I tell them, okay, so again, we're going to get into my marketing plan of action here. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to be doing to expose your home to the most amount of buyers out there. But before I do this, I want to talk to you about the number one mistake that home sellers make when choosing a real estate agent. The number one mistake home sellers choose when picking an agent is choosing the real estate agent based on their recommended list price. They will go with whoever tells them the price that they want to hear. That is the absolute worst thing that you possibly can do. There's only two reasons, and two reasons only, that you choose a real estate agent. Number one, who has the most aggressive marketing plan of action to get your home exposed to the most amount of buyers out there that can ultimately drive the most amount of buyer traffic through your property. Real estate, again, is a numbers game. The more buyers I get through your property, the higher likelihood we have somebody fall in love with your offer and being willing to put in a full price offer or top dollar offer for your property. Number two is who has the best contract negotiation skills. Who is going to be an absolute shark out there and fight for every single penny for you? Who is going to treat your money like their own money? And again, go out there and negotiate for every single dollar, every single penny to ensure that you are getting top dollar in your pocket. Those are the only two reasons, and two reasons only, that you ever choose a real estate agent. Look, when it comes to the list price, when I get done with this marketing plan of action here, I'm going to go through what my recommended list price is. But you got to understand, you are the boss. I work for you. I'm going to give you my recommendation. If you don't like it, I work for you. You tell me exactly where we're going to list the property, and we'll make that happen, right? I don't choose the price. You choose the price. It's your house. It's your right. You're the boss. I work for you. I'm going to always give you my recommendation, but you set it. So don't choose a real estate agent based on the list price they tell you. Most real estate agents are just giving you a list price that they think that you want to hear to get your listing. Look, you set the price. Nobody else sets the price. And now you know the two reasons, and two reasons only, to choose a real estate agent. Okay, so quick timeout. I am not in the business of taking overpriced listings. But what I got sick and tired of is losing the opportunity to handle that objection. I wouldn't give them the price they wanted to hear because I'm very upfront, honest. I'm not going to fluff, right? I always say, like, I'm not Willy Wonka, so I'm not here to sugarcoat shit, right? Of course, I don't say that to my clients in that manner. But like, look, dude, I'm not going to be dishonest with them. I'm always going to be very upfront, honest with them on what it's going to take to get their home sold, or at least what my professional opinion is. So I'd go up against another realtor that would tell them, 20 grand higher, even though that realtor would list the property, was a shitty realtor, just said that to get the listing, never sold the property, expires, whatever we all know the crap that takes place and goes on here. So I just got sick and tired of never having the opportunity to handle the objection, right? So I set that, and I say it in that manner. So then that if they don't like the price at this point, they understand and know we can have an open conversation about this. And you'll see this when I get into pricing at that part of the presentation. We can have an open conversation with this, and I'm able to overcome that objection. And if I can't overcome it, then I can make my own best decision if I want to walk away from this or not. Then from there, when I talked about your contract negotiation skills, we're going to talk about contract negotiation skills. It's not about negotiating contracts. It's about your speed, how intentional, how diligent, how well you build up the human connection, which I'll talk about with you guys in week 9. So if you're new, you can negotiate contracts as everybody as good as any seasoned professional. So don't use this as a limiting belief by any means. But the reason I state that is if somebody comes to me then, and this is kind of typically how it goes. Oh, well, we spoke to XYZ agent at XYZ brokerage, and they said instantaneously they said that they would go down to 5%. We really like you. We really like everything that you had to say, but your fee 6%. They're at 5%. Would you be willing to match their 5%? Right. So I planted that negotiation seed, right, to overcome this. So then here's what I say. Here's how I overcome all these commission objections if and when they come up. Because, dude, if commission is important to them and they're just going to drop a commission, for a fact they've talked to other real estate agents about commission. Right? Any seller that I list with and I talk with, and I'm the only one that they're listing with, dude. Again, it's almost a non-issue. So here's what I do in that situation. I tell them, I just remind them, remember the number one mistake I told you that home sellers make, which is choosing agent based on the recommended list price. And then the two reasons and two reasons only that you choose a real estate agent, number one, who has the most aggressive marketing plan of action to expose your home to the most amount of buyers, ultimately drive the most traffic into your property, which will result in a top dollar offer. Number two, who has the best contract negotiation skills that's going to fight like a shark for you for every single penny, that's going to treat your pocketbook like theirs and ensure that you get you top dollar. So you got to understand, as real estate professionals, we are paid 100% on commission. I don't make any money until I do my job, sell your home at the value that you want, put as much money in your pocket as I possibly can. I don't get paid until I do my job, right? So I'm 100% commission based, as all realtors are. So how we make money is through commissions. And that's the only way that we make money inside this real estate business. So this other real estate agent instantaneously caved without negotiating, instantaneously caved on their own personal value. So what that person has instantaneously told you is they cannot negotiate on their own business behalf, right? And not only do we make our money through commission checks, and that supports our business, but this is how we support our families. So that real estate agent cannot negotiate on their own personal behalf, can't negotiate on their own business behalf, cannot negotiate on creating their own opportunities for their own family's behalf, right? So what gives you any faith in that they're going to go out there and negotiate for you, fight for every single penny for you, get you top dollar for you, when they can't negotiate on their own selves, their own value, their own business, and can't even negotiate for their own family? What gives you any faith on that? Right? So don't be focused on a percent here and there. What I can promise you, what I can assure you, what I can guarantee you is there is no better real estate agent out there for the job that's going to get you top dollar for your property and ultimately put more money in your pocket. I don't care if that real estate agent sells your house for free. I will still put more money in your pocket at the end of the day. I'm a true professional. I know what I'm doing. I know exactly how to go out there and get my clients for top dollar. So don't worry about a percent here and there. At the end of the day, what matters most is who puts the most money in your pocket, and I will absolutely do the best job at that. Right? And it just shuts it down. Most times it shuts it down. Now as we're here, let's just continue having this commission conversation, because there's no other like great point to have this inside the presentation here today, or the training here today. So there's going to be times that's going to shut it down most of the times. Right? But again, dude, this is where the role playing comes. Like, you got to be rehearsed on this stuff. You got to have this stuff in. It's more important with the certainty that you say it with than it is what actually comes out of your mouth. Who wins a debate is not who is most right, it's who is most certain, right? So, but dude, I believe in me and my skill sets and how hard I'm going to work for my clients, right? And believe in myself, so I can say this with full conviction and that believability, if you will, right? Which all of you should, especially after you dial this stuff in, I don't care what your experience is, you should have that same belief system. Now, if they're like, hey, Josh, I don't care what that all sounds great, but we want at 5%. We're not going below 5%. So I always know what it's worth for me before I step into a listing presentation. So I'll sit there and know, like, hey, what's my walkaway point? Before I go on a listing presentation, before I get emotional, like, what's my walkaway point? Like, what's my stop loss? Like, at what point does it not make financial sense for me to list this property? Right? And so I'm going to set that, and maybe if it's a $300,000 listing, I might be able to go down to 5%, still make $6,000 and between my marketing efforts, whatever, and I still make a decent return on my investment. So I'm going to set that before I go in, so I know my walking points and I don't allow myself to get emotional with that. And then from there, I might be willing to go to 5% if I absolutely have to. I am not this guy that's going to be like, oh, I never take discount listings. Look, I don't have an ego, right? I'm going to fight for every dollar as I possibly can. But at the end of the day, right? Let's just say it's a $300,000 listing. It cost me $300 in marketing to get to that table for that listing presentation. It's going to cost me $250, let's just say, in marketing. So I got $550 into this property. For me to invest $550 in some of my time to make $6,000, stupid for me on a business standpoint to not say yes to that deal. Right? And if I'm too busy to take it on, then I'm still stupid, because in an entrepreneur standpoint, because then if I'm too busy to be able to take that on, I should have agents working underneath me that can take that on, and then I can still make that money on that, right? If I'm a smart entrepreneur. So I'm just here to make smart, strategic business decisions for my business, even if that means discounting, even though I'm going to fight against it. I don't want it. What is the best business decision? I don't get emotional, and I don't have an ego attached to this stuff. However, I don't want to cave into it, right? So let's just say I can't get my 6% or 7%. Let's just say, let's use the 6% example here. I can't get my 6%. They're like, no, we want 5%. A lot of people just want to feel like they got the upper hand. They feel like they got some kind of a deal, right? So I'll just sit there and say, hey, look, I can't go to 5%, but I also understand and know that you are unwilling and can't go to 6%. But look, I've enjoyed our time together. I love your home. I know I am the best real estate agent to go out there and help you get your home sold for top dollar. I really want to, not only do I feel and know that I'm the best, I really want to work with you and take you on as a client. Like I said, I can't do 5%. You can't come to 6%. Let's just meet in the middle. Let's do it at 5.5%. You're getting a great deal. I'm able to still give it all my effort, my energy, my marketing efforts. I'm still excited about it. So let's just meet in the middle, go at 5.5% and get this thing done. Sound fair? And I always use that language, sound fair. I don't say sound good when it comes to negotiation. Does it sound fair? Right? Most times, again, in these situations, that's going to shut it down. People just want to feel like they got the upper hand, they got a deal. Now, if they're like a total ball buster and they're just like, nope, absolutely not, I want 5%, then at that point, like I said, I've set my stop loss. I've walked out of many of them, right? Where it's, hey, I appreciate, appreciate the opportunity, but unfortunately, this isn't going to work out. If you want the best, which is me, here's what my fee is. You got to pay my fee. And it's obvious that you're unwilling to pay that fee. So you can't get me. I apologize, but I don't discount my services. I wish you the best of luck. Have a great day. And sometimes you call their bluff and they're like, okay, let's just go with you. And sometimes, right, as many times as not, they've let me walk out that door. Right. But that's why I said it before, so I don't get emotional with that. Right. Okay. So now that we've set that, now we're going to jump on into the listing presentation. So I'm going to go through this. I might have a couple timeouts where, it's a timeout listing presentation so I can explain a few things. But for the most part, I'm just going to flow through this like I'm flowing through it with the agent. Okay. So again, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through my step-by-step marketing step of action so you know exactly what I'm doing every step of the way to expose your home to the most amount of buyers out there. So before I actually get into the marketing strategy, I want to talk to you really quickly about a couple of the guarantees that we offer that differentiate ourselves or differentiate me from all the other real estate agents in the marketplace, but also help you is me being the listing agent for your property. So my first guarantee that I offer is what's called my 1-day listing agreement. So for the last 17 years plus straight, according to the National Association of Realtors surveys, again, 17 years plus straight from the vast majority of home sellers across the country, the number one concern home sellers have is being stuck in a long-term contract with a real estate agent that overpromises and underdelivers, right? So I make sure that doesn't happen. I make sure that you cannot make a mistake with me. I don't believe in contracts. I believe in accountability. So my 1-day listing agreement states this. If after 24 hours of your home being listed on the MLS, if you wish to cancel the listing agreement for any reason, you are able to do so immediately without any hassle, cost, or obligation. Look, you are the boss. I work for you. I make sure that you are always 100% in control. This ensures and guarantees that I'm going to be working extremely hard for you from the second you decide to list with us to the second your home is sold. And if at any time I'm not, you can fire us any single time. Some more guarantees that we offer. Now, just real quick, I want to state this with these next two guarantees. These do not work for the vast majority of our clients, these next couple guarantees, right? And what I mean that don't work is our clients opt to not go with these next two options because it's not maybe in their best interest. However, even though that these probably aren't going to work for you, I'm going to show you here in a moment how they absolutely can work for the buyer of your home. However, we offer these because there are certain homeowners, home sellers that we work with that are in a unique situation, and these programs become a huge win-win for. So we offer, first off, our immediate buyout program where we'll come in and we'll buy your home up front, let you rent your home back for up to 6 months while we help you find your dream home. The offer is typically 90 to 60% of market value, depending on location and condition. All the terms of the offer 100% provided upfront, so you're able to make the best decision for yourself and your family, and you have all the facts and information that you need to be able to go out there and do that. There's no pressure. Just here's the information. If this works for you, great. If not, we can get you top dollar on the marketplace. If you think that this is an option for you, within 72 hours of this meeting, we'll have an offer The offer terms provided to you along with an estimated net sheet, so you have all the information that you need to make the best decision for yourself and your family. But it's important to know again and understand that this is going to be an investor discounted offer. It's the difference between retail and wholesale. If we go out there and put your house on the regular market, we're going to be able to go out there and get you top dollar. Compared to an offer like this is going to be a discounted investor offer. Look, the intention with this investor offer is once you get moved out is going to be to flip the house for profit. So in a lot of cases, we find that these offers might be $30,000 or $40,000 less than what we can get you on the open marketplace. However, that we have certain sellers that are in very unique situations that this can work out very well for. Our next guarantee, which is very similar to the immediate buyout, is our sold or we buy it. And what I mean similar is the offer price is about the same. It's a discounted offer, wholesale versus retail, just like I talked about. But the difference here is this gives you the opportunity to list your house on the open market, try to get top dollar within 72 hours. If you want to explore this, within 72 hours, we'll get you an offer that's going to be then valid for 90 days. You do not have to accept the offer, but the offer is valid for 90 days. So it's kind of a hope for the best, plan for the worst, have a worst case scenario offer. You never have to accept it, but it's always there. It's there for 90 days just in case you need a backup position for your property. So if this is an option that you want to explore, again, within 72 hours, we will have that investor discounted offer available for you. Now, as I said, I know that those options probably aren't going to work for you. They don't work for 95% of our home sellers. Most of our home sellers want to get their home on the open market, go out there, get top dollar for their home, and they're not looking to accept a discounted offer. But even though it doesn't work for most of our sellers, it may not work for you. It absolutely can work for the buyer of your home. Every single one of our homes that we list for sale, we put a sign rider on there that says, buy this home and we will buy yours for cash. So let's just say, for example, and this happens quite a bit for us with buyer clients, is let's just say a buyer is driving by your property and sees this sign. Right? They see that your house is for sale. Your home is their dream home. They are now emotionally attached to your house, emotionally detached from their house. They are in love with your home. However, they have another home. They cannot afford to have double mortgages. They know time is of the essence. They got to move fast. And then they see the sign. Buy this home and we'll buy yours for cash. They call us. We're able to get them an offer, close on their house within 10 to 14 days, let them rent their house back. Now they're able to qualify for the mortgage, have the down payment, and we've now created a buyer for your house. You got to understand, me as your real estate agent, it is my job to create as many opportunities as I possibly can. Every potential buyer out there is an opportunity. This gives us the opportunity to go out there and create new potential buyers. So like I said, it may not work for you, but it absolutely can work for your home. Now, a quick timeout, you guys. When I'm going through this listing presentation with you guys, now I don't know how to do this stuff. Right? To be honest with you guys, I go to Upwork and I've hired people to do this for me. It's very cheap to do. But like with this, like how I'm having to present this to you in PDF format. So visually, this stuff isn't as cool. But like with this down here, like this will come up, this 1-day listing agreement will come up, and then I tap the screen, and then this pops up, and then it bursts into flames. Like it actually like lights on fire and bursts into flames. Right? Which is kind of lame looking. I mean, it's cool looking, but it's also kind of lame. So it's kind of a little bit of an icebreaker. Right? Then when I'm doing this right here. So I'll talk about this may not work for you, but may still work for the buyer of your home. I tap the screen. This comes down here, hits up here and like smoke, like our dust pops up or dirt pops up, just visually looks cooler. So there's lots of things that you can do in PowerPoint and Keynote. And so I'm sharing that because when you're seeing the presentation, I'm showing you on PDF, it doesn't visually look as cool as it does. And like I said, dude, I'm sure you can Google it and figure it out and learn how to do it. For me, it's worth paying the $200-$300 to go to Upwork and hire somebody that knows Keynote or knows, all this stuff to, visually add them and make them look freaking sick, right? So just wanted to share that with you guys. All right. So now let's talk about what it actually truly takes to get your home sold for the highest possible price in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of stress for you. So quick timeout. Right here, we hit our guarantees. right? Which are just showing more value for them, especially this one. This one works for everybody. People love this guarantee. So we're sharing, again, we're just sharing how we differentiate ourselves. We're showing some different guarantees, different things that we offer them. Also, how some of these guarantees that may not work for them absolutely can create buyers of their home. And the reason I'm bringing stories like that is it makes it real. Otherwise, they won't know how to do this stuff or how this stuff can apply. Then here, what does it take to sell your home for the highest possible price in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of stress to you? This is what every seller wants. So the rest of my presentation is just showing them how I am going to accomplish exactly what I know that they want, which is these three things. That's why this is really important. Okay, so we call it the 3 Ps. There's 3 things. In order to accomplish those, there's 3 things that must happen, and we call it the 3 Ps: presentation, promotion, and price. But with these 3 things, I want you to think of these as a 3-legged stool. Every one of these is as important as the next. You remove one leg of the stool, boom, it's going to collapse over and not be effective. All 3 of these things must come together. So P1, presentation. Now, this is how your home looks. This is how it's going to look to a buyer in person, how a buyer sees it online in the photos, to other realtors. I know to you, your home is your home. But you've got to understand, as soon as you list your home for sale to everybody else, it is a product that is offered on the marketplace for sale and needs to be presented at its best at all times. A lot of home sellers think that their competition are the buyers that are out there, and that's just not true. Your competition are all the other homes similar to yours that are listed for sale in the marketplace. We need to make sure that your home shows at its absolute best. Now, I just got done touring your home, and your home is gorgeous. I did not see any part of your home where I would recommend actually investing any money into that needs a monetary investment into. But there's lots of little things that we can do to ensure that your home shows at its absolute best and is the best product it possibly can. So one of the reasons that I'm able to get my clients so much more money in their pocket than all the other local real estate agents in the marketplace is we work in depth with you, going room by room. Before we bring in your photographers, before we list your property, I'm going to work with you, going room by room, giving you my professional opinion on what must be done to ensure your home will always be presented at its absolute best. And here is our actual home prep, our home for sale prep guide, which is our proven staging guide that shows you exactly, again, room by room, which I'm going to work with you going room by room. Once you decide that I'm the real estate agent for you to get your home listed, we're going to spend some time together. And I'm going to show you exactly what needs to get done to make your home show at its absolute best, which will absolutely put thousands of more dollars inside your pocket. So before we bring in our photographers, before we have your home listed on the MLS, before we start bringing in buyers, we need to absolutely make sure that your home shows in the best possible way it possibly can, and be the best product that it possibly can be. P2. Now, once we have your home as the best product we possibly can get it, then now it's promotion time. So P2 is promotion. This is how your home is going to be exposed to the marketplace, right? And as your real estate professional, my number one job, my number one top priority here, in order to get you top dollar, is to be able to effectively expose your home to the most amount of buyers possibly out there, which will then result in the most amount of buyer showings, which will result in getting a top dollar offer. So the most important way when it comes to promotion to show your home off and to be able to accomplish this is through photography, through photos, right? So we have to, once your home shows at its best, we've got to look at the best product we possibly can. Then we are going to bring in, I employ the best professional photographers in the area to show off your home the best way we possibly can. They have the equipment. They know the angles. These are professional real estate photographers. All they do all day long is go out there and take photos of properties. It's the same quality of caliber photos that you see in all the luxury magazines and the home magazines. So we're going to make sure that your home shows off at its absolute best. They know the exact angles. They have the equipment. They know how to enhance these, not to alter how your home looks, but to make sure that everything is as bright and open as it possibly can, that things pop, the sky pops, the trees pop, all the landscaping pops, to look at its absolute best. Today's first impression is now through photos, right? So, and it's been proven through the National Association of Realtors that homes with 35 plus high definition photos sell for quicker and a quicker time frame for a high dollar amount. Our average listing has 50 plus high def professional photographer photos and timeout based on the size of their home. I might sit there and tell them, if it's a 5,000 square foot home, right, we'll probably have 125 photos. So I can kind of give them an idea there. So here's some sample photos of our listings and how we show off of our properties to give you an idea of what we are talking about. But again, this is critical. We've got to prep your house right before we bring in the photographers, because it doesn't matter how good the photography is if your home isn't showing at its best. We need your home showing at its best, then to show off your home at its best with the best photography we possibly can to go out there and accomplish this at the highest possible level. Now, this next slide here, this is me talking to you guys here in this boot camp, looks like crap, right? This isn't how it appears on my end. So what I've done here, just to give some rhyme to the reason, is when I'm talking about photos, I'll just click this. I'm not really talking about this slide. I just click on this, and just right up here says how other realtors show your home. So I go out on my local MLS, dude, and I just find a bunch of just crappy photos. I find them like with the toilet seats up or down, whatever, and dogs walking through and all the crazy stuff that you see. Like this one here, you can see freaking shit over the countertops. And these are obviously done with their iPhone or whatever, just crappy looking photos. So I have like 15 photos, how other realtors show their home. And these are just flying in and stacking on top of each other's. And then how we show off your home. Or if you're you'll see here in my presentation, I use we and us because we're a team. If you're an individual agent, use I. But then we have ours, right? So we see these and then we see ours. And I pick, my best photos, man. So it's just like, bam, just looking gorgeous and beautiful. Like, dude, this is not like an extravagant pool, right? It's a nice pool. Don't get me wrong. But it looks badass, right? With the angle and how we make it pop. If you saw this in person, you'd be like, dude, not that we're making our photos be a false representation of the property, but that's like the best angle that pool possibly can look, from right there. With that, it looks better than it does in person, right? But my job is to get people into the property, right? So that's what this is for, is just more of a stage. So I'll just let them know, look, you've probably been on the internet looking at properties already. You see how other realtors market their homes. Here's live photos of how other realtors are marketing their homes, right? So, and then again, I have my iPad set where I click it, and these photos fly in. And then I'm like, and just compare this to how I market my properties and represent my properties. And just as you're seeing these, ask yourself, what homes do you think are represented better? What homes do you think are going to get more buyer exposure? What homes do you think are going to get more buyers wanting to view your property? And I just let the visuals do it. Then I click the button right, and these all fly in here, right? Okay, so then what happens at the curb matters. So today you got over 95% of your home buyers finding their home online. But what about the other 5%? Again, my job is just to create as many opportunities as I possibly can. I don't know where the buyer is going to come from your home. Yeah. Do we have the highest likelihood it's going to come from online on a website? Yeah. Right. But that's not guaranteed, right? What about the other 5%? So what happens at the curb matters, meaning, what does the for sale sign look like? What are the marketing features on the for sale sign? So there's some very key things that we do that are effective, that get results with your for sale sign and marketing your property. So we know today, it's just been proven through all the research and studies that exist out there. The consumer today, the average buyer out there, the consumer today wants the information that they want without speaking to the salesperson, right? So on your sign, your for sale sign, there's a few things that we're going to do. Number one, we're going to have a regular number where they can call anytime and speak to myself or another representative of my team. They want to speak to a live salesperson, a live person. They can speak to a live person at any time. We know that's the least favorite method that the consumer likes to communicate with, but some people just like to speak to a live person. So we're going to have that option. Then we're going to have a 24/7 call recorded option where they can call anytime, 24/7, and get all the recorded information about your property and your home features at any time. Then we're going to have a 24/7 text information line where they can actually text this. There'll be instructions where they text this number, and they'll instantaneously receive information on your property. So inside, when they text, what we do is we actually build a custom website for your property. Now, this is not, this isn't taken to information that's on your property on a Zillow or Realtor.com. This is a custom built out website just featuring only your property with all the photos, all the property information, in, mortgage payment calculators, local amenities in the area. So this is a custom website just for your property that they're delivered. They text this, they get this information, this website instantaneously on their handheld device while they're standing in the driveway of your property. Now, how this call and text features are so powerful is these are what is called call and text capture technology. So the second they call or the second they text in, I get an alert saying that this number has called or texted for information on this property. I know they're standing in front of your property right then and there. So I'm able to call them and follow up with them to make sure they got all their questions answered, see if they have any additional questions, and do everything I possibly can to book a showing to get them into your property, right? So it's my job as your real estate professional, it's my job to capitalize and maximize on every single potential opportunity. Every single sign call is an opportunity. Right? We cannot afford to miss out on these opportunities. So I need to answer all inquiries promptly, and I need to make sure to get as many people through your property as I possibly can. And this technology allows us to do this in the most effective fashion, right? So we have found this is why we no longer do property flyers. I know back in the day, there was people who do property flyers. That was the standard. We have found property flyers to not be effective in marketing your home. It actually hurts you better, more so than it helps you. We give them the ability to receive a flyer and a more in-depth flyer than they would be able to have on a paper flyer with your custom property website, but they have to text to be able to get it. And again, now gives me the ability to follow up with them. Well, if they're taking out flyers, I have no way to follow up with them, and a paper flyer is never going to represent your property as well as this custom website. So we found that this is vastly more effective than paper flyers, and this is what we have on your yard sign in front of your property. All right, so then from there, we have 24/7 buyer information online, text, phone, flyers. We also have a realtor on call at all times, including evenings, weekends, and holidays, to answer any questions and show your home. One of the disadvantages of listing with an individual agent compared to listing with a full-time real estate team like mine is we always have somebody working and always have somebody on call. So as an example right now, I'm in this listing presentation with you right now, speaking with you. Let's just say I'm an individual agent right now, and I'm not answering my phone because I'm giving you all my attention and energy right now. Everybody that's calling right now on your property, all those calls are getting missed. The consumer today is going to leave voicemails. Every single missed sign call, those are missed opportunities to get you top dollar for your home. We cannot afford to miss opportunities. So inside my real estate team, we always have a representative all day, all evenings, all weekends. If you call on Easter Sunday, that phone call is going to get answered. The questions are going to get answered, and they're going to attempt to book a showing and try to get them into your property. So it ensures that we will never miss out on these opportunities, which we can't afford to do in order to get you top dollar on your property. Now, quick timeout. You might be like, "What the hell, Josh, dude? Like, I'm an individual agent, man. You just threw me under the bus here." All right, so I was an individual agent once too, right? We all start somewhere. There's always a way to make yourself sound good. So if I'm an individual agent here, I'm going to sit there and say, hey, one of the benefits with listing your home with me compared to listing with one of these, big teams out there, these, big organizations out there, is all of your property inquiries are answered and handled by me personally. With most of these big teams out there, who's answering the phone? Some, a $12 an hour receptionist that's never stepped foot in your house, that gets paid a salary regardless whether your house sells or not. They have no vested interest. They've never stepped foot in your house. They don't know how to answer these questions properly, and they have no incentive to book a showing with that client. When every single inquiry is handled by me, look, I only get paid unless I do my job and sell your house for top dollar. So I'm going to make sure every single question is answered, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to set up a showing and get them into your property because I have a huge vested interest, obviously, of doing that. So again, you guys, there's always a way to make yourself look, I can make anybody sound good or bad. There's always ways of doing it. Like when I was brand new, before I sold a house, I was like, people were like, well, how long have you been in the business? 4 days. Right? I was just honest with people, but here's the bonus for that. Number one, I'm with a great firm, a great broker, top brokerage in the city, in the area. I'm very resourceful. So even though that I'm new, I have the people behind me, the broker behind me that's going to walk me through. So you're in good hands. Even though I'm new, everything will be handled professionally and taken care of. So you don't have to worry about that. The benefit with me being brand new though, is not only are you my first client, you're my only client. So you get all of me. So whatever you need, day, morning, noon, night, like I don't care what it is, you get all of me. You will not find another real estate agent with more availability that's going to work harder for you than me, right? So, dude, there was even as a brand new agent, I could sell myself. Like I love playing the new card because of that, right? There's always a way to make yourself sound good. All right, so we're going to just continue here. So then with websites, as I stated earlier, over 95% of home buyers are starting and finding their homes online. Your home's going to be advertised on over 2,000 top national and global websites. But you got to understand it's not just about being online, but it's how we expose your home online with photos, making sure that your property's prepped correctly and getting those right professional photos out there and tours out there that show your home off in the best possible light. So real quick timeout. Obviously these websites are flying in here graphically looking cool. They're not just like plopped here. Now, when I say 2,000 plus top national sites, I do not pay to have my properties, blasted all over these different sites. That's just because of the IDX. And this is probably closer to like a million, right? I mean, dude, there's 40,000 agents in my marketplace. Every single one of my agents that has a website, or every single agent in my marketplace that has a website that has an IDX, my listings are listed on there. So I'm probably over 2,000 websites in just my marketplace, right? So when you feed to the IDX, if you have the IDX feed, 3 or plus, you're blasted everywhere, all over, right? So I just use that number instead of saying like a million or 500,000. It's just more believable. And I just flow with this. I never had anybody question me, right? Well, do you have a list of those websites? I just flow with it, right? And if I were to get that question, I would just say, I don't have a complete list of all 2,000 plus, and just so you know that 2,000, I use that number because it's a more believable number, but it's vastly lower than what the reality is. Then I just explain the IDX and just like what I did with you guys and how it's exposed everywhere. All right, so again, we advertise on every single top national and global website. Your home will be advertised online in over 68 countries, and all 2,000 plus combined websites have over 60 million plus views per month. But as I stated earlier, we can be blasted all over the internet. We can be on every single major site out there that exists. But if your home's not prepped right and we don't have the right photos to show off your property, none of this stuff comes together. None of it matters. So all of these things are absolutely critical. So in addition to what we talked about, we're going to have, of course, a yard sign your property. We're going to do some e-flyers, social media marketing, realtor networking. Here is my proven 48-point marketing strategy, which gives you a complete list of everything that we're going to do through for your property, expose your property. I'm not going to go through the whole list with you here today in the presentation. And the reason being is there's so many things that we do in addition to this. But today I wanted to cover the most effective and important thing that truly lead to getting you top dollar through the exposure of your home, which is what we covered today. So we've got a few things left to cover here, but in regards to what we talked about thus far with prepping your home and the promotion element of your property, do you have any questions for me yet? And again, we've got a few things left to cover. Then we're going to get into your valuation report and discuss price. But about what we've discussed thus far, do you have any questions for me at this time? Right? So I just stopped because if I don't say that, hey, we're going to cover, market valuation here in a moment. We got a few things left to cover, but about what we've discussed thus far, do you have specific questions? If I don't say it in that manner, I'll get asked, yeah, well, all this sounds great. What's the price? I'm not ready yet for that. So I need to, I'm leading the path. I'm instructing them of what to do here. If I ever have a question here, the only question I ever get is about open houses. Now, if this is a house I want to do mega open houses on, I'm already talking about it, right? It's not part of my listing presentation because most of the houses I list don't qualify for me to do an open house on, right? So if I get the question about open houses, here's what I tell them. Look, great question. I understand, the thought process of wanting an open house done. The reality is it is the most ineffective thing that you possibly can do to get your home sold. Statistically, right now, less than 0.5% of homes sell through open houses. And here's the reality of it. When I do an open house, I got to kick you out of your house for the day or for the weekend. It increases your risk of liability. We've got a bunch of strangers in your home right now. It's impossible for me to keep on top of everybody. Somebody could get hurt. There's theft, all these other things. So it increases your element of liability and is the most ineffective thing that we possibly can do to get your home sold. Now, if an open house is something that you want to try, that's important to you, I personally cannot commit to them. However, I'm with a large brokerage. I've got a large team, and I've got a large brokerage I'm a part of. Real estate agents love doing open houses, not because they're confident they're going to sell your house, but they know they're going to meet potential buyers through the open house, be able to go out there and sell them something. Whether it's your house or sell them something else, they're going to be able to go out there and sell them something else and represent them. So I personally can't commit to them, but I'm pretty sure and pretty confident I can get some agents that I know to sit your home open if that's something that's important to you. Usually, at that case, it's like, oh well, we didn't know that that it was that low, and now we'd rather not screw with them, right? Or if they want it done, I can get it done. I just can't. I'm not going to commit to them, and I'm going to be very upfront and honest with them. I've had people that are like, no, we want you to do the open houses. We want them done every single Saturday until the house sells. That more happens in like the retirement communities in my area. And then I'll tell them I can't do that. Right. Again, I'll try to overcome that, is like I just said. But if I can't commit to it, I'm not going to commit to it. I'm not going to deviate from my plan. I've got my path. I've got my plan. It's like, dude, it's like with the boot camp, more so in the alumni, right? Than the boot camp, because you guys are going through this experience. But after the boot camp, we have the alumni, and I'll get a lot of alumni members. They're not a lot, but because I offer in the alumni program, it's more powerful than one-on-one coaching. But I get some people that are like, Josh, dude, I really want a one-on-one coach with you. Dude, I don't do it. Right? I mean, I just don't do it. I don't care if you want to pay me $5,000 an hour right now. I don't do one-on-one coaching. It's not part of my path. It's not plan of my plan. It's not the best use of my time right now. So I just don't do it. I don't care what somebody pays me. I guess there's a fee. If somebody wanted to pay me 10 grand an hour, I probably would say yes to one-on-one coaching, but that wouldn't offer value to them, right? So pick your path, stick with it. Don't deviate from the plan. All right, so now P3 is price. So presenting your home at the right price will save you time, money, and frustration. So I'm going to work with you one-on-one to set the best price to attract the most buyers. So again, here in just a moment, I've got the market valuation report. I'm going to walk you through and go through what my recommendation is of list or market value for your house and where you should list your property. And we'll go through that here in just a moment. But we've got to make sure that you're priced within market value range. I don't care how much marketing we do, how well we show off your property. If your property's overpriced, I could fly a plane over your house with the banner 24/7. Your home would never sell if it's not priced within market value. So very, very critical. This is that third component: presentation, promotion, price, which we've all talked about now. And again, we'll dive into this here in just a moment. I got a few last things I want to talk to you about really quickly. So the number one complaint about the real estate industry is, now this is the number one complaint from both buyers and sellers as a whole about real estate agents as a whole, is the lack of communication. So I want you to know and understand this will never be the case with me and my team. So a couple things that we do. So number one, we have special software where we receive notification the second that your home is shown. Showing Suite sends out a survey. The software is called Showing Suite. So the second a real estate agent accesses your lockbox, I'm sent an alert. So I know exactly who's in your property, what time, all the contact information. So I'm able to follow up with them. The software also sends out a survey to that showing real estate agent. As soon as they access the lockbox, it's going to be sent every other day for 10 days. We are very, very aggressive at getting you feedback, and I'm going to constantly keep you updated every step of the way. Look, there's a lot of things I can't control in the transaction, but the things that I can control, I believe in being brilliant at, and I make sure that you are updated and communicated every step of the way, and lack of communication will never, ever be an issue with me. So how our lockbox works. Now you got to understand, only real estate agents have access to these keys. This lockbox here, it's impossible to get to access or break into without this key. This key here, each agent has their own unique code. So that's how we track this and know who is in their property. They have their own unique code. Once they enter their code, there's a little laser beam that transmits here, pops open the lockbox here, this key container where your key is, so they are able to access the door. Again, I get instantaneous information. I know who is in there. Those surveys start getting sent out. I don't just rely on the surveys. I'm also very aggressive at following up for feedback from them. But this helps us in a couple different ways. Number one is your safety. Anybody could go out there and pose as a real estate agent. They could go to Office Max, get a nice badge, get business cards made up, dress professionally. They could knock on your door, have a client, a quote unquote client with them, hand you their business card, say, hey, I was just driving in the neighborhood. We were looking at a couple other properties. My client, Joe, that's with me here, saw you're signing in your yard. And we just want to see while we were here, if we could take a look at your property, if it's listed for sale. He has some interest in it. Would that be okay with you? He looks like a nice guy, dressed nice, name badge, got a business card, looks professional, looks legit. Again, anybody could go out there and do that within 24 hours from Office Max. You let them inside your house. All of a sudden they're inside your house, they start robbing you, right? They're quote unquote buyers, they're accomplice, and they're robbers, right? Now, I've never had that happen to a client ever in my career. But one of the reasons, right, is we take precautions to make sure that that just isn't going to happen. So what this lockbox does is it ensures that only real estate professionals are truly are able to access your property. To get your real estate license, there's a pretty intensive test that you have to go through, courses that you have to go through. You have to be fingerprinted with the authorities. So we always have their information. We can always make sure that they're legit. We always know who that last person was at your property. So number one, safety. Number two is as we're getting showings, I need feedback. As the home seller, you want feedback. We got people looking at your property. You want to know what's going on. As your real estate professional, I need feedback. If we are getting showings and we're not getting offers, there's obviously an objection or obstacle that exists. I need to identify those. I need to know those so I can come back to you with those. We can have a conversation and we can figure out how to overcome those objections and put deals together. So this lockbox solves two huge problems there that are very important. So quick timeout. Why do I share this with you guys? I freaking hate listing homes out lockboxes. Massive pain in the ass. I refuse to do it. The only exception is if it's a multi-million-dollar house and they've got a lot of art in the house or whatever, and it's showing, by appointment only with both realtors there. Okay, I mean, if I'm listing a $3 million house and I got a $90,000 commission I'm going to make, I'll make an exception to that rule here. But for most I'm not going to list no lockbox, no listing. In my opinion, it's too much of a pain in the ass. But again, why don't they want a lockbox? Because they don't understand the value in it. Now they understand the value in it, and it just becomes a non-issue. Objections or lack of education. All right, so now the number one concern for actual homeowners, those listing their home, and this has been the case for 17 years straight, is being locked in a long-term contract with a realtor that overpromises, underdelivers, never communicates, and does not do their job. We guarantee this will not happen with us. We'll do everything that we promise to do. And if we don't, you can fire us. And again, this pops up, fire, flames, all that stuff bursts. Then from there, I go into my one-day listing agreement. So our one-day listing agreement guarantee. This states if after 24 hours on the MLS, the seller may cancel this contract as long as we do not have an accepted purchase contract at any time for any reason without any hassle, cost, or obligation. You are always 100% in control. This ensures that I'm going to do everything I said I was going to do. I don't believe in contracts. I believe in accountability. If I'm not doing everything I said I was going to do, if you're unhappy for any reason, you can fire me. I deserve to be fired. This ensures and guarantees that you cannot make a mistake with me. If anytime you find you made a mistake or think you made a mistake, you can fire me instantaneously and relist your property with somebody else. So quick timeout. Why would I put this in here twice? Well, you ever have a conversation with somebody where as they're talking, like you're not really fully listening, you're kind of listening, you're only listening enough to sit there and like think in your head like how you're going to come up with a rebuttal to respond to what they're saying? That's kind of what happens in the beginning. So we did the tour. They're feeling the connection with you. Sit back down. And then they're like, oh, shit, here's the sales guy coming out. Where's the sales pitch? Where's the sales pitch? Where's the sales pitch? So I find that they're a little bit more guarded in the front than at this point. It also planted the seed in the beginning. So here's what happens. In the beginning, almost nobody says anything about the guarantee. Right here at this point, because I've already planted the seed and they're also the guards down. They're more comfortable. They realize they're not getting a sales pitch here. Almost everybody's like, oh, I'm so glad that you brought that up. That was a big concern for us, and we're so glad that you offer that. Almost everybody. It's crazy, right? So, but I've just found because the guarantee is so powerful to sprinkle it in twice like that. Okay, so, and this is timeout. This is me talking to you guys. You can see here, I do not talk about myself until the last two slides. And this is done intentionally, right? I need to make sure that I'm selling the value and how I'm going to accomplish what they want to accomplish. Like they don't care how good I am or how cool I am, right? Now I'm going to talk about this in the end to wrap it up, take it full circle. So it's like, okay, man, we believe in everything I said. Then now I'm going to give that proof, right? That I get results, right? But it's important to talk about this at the end. Okay, so now I'd like to talk to you about why choosing my real estate team over another real estate agent or another real estate team that exists out there. Got to understand, all real estate agents, all real estate teams, all real estate brokerages are not created equal. So number one, I want you to understand that we are a full-time, full-service real estate team that works together to get your home sold. So we have support staff in place, transaction coordinators, listing coordinators, customer service experience representative, full-time real estate agents. We do not hire anybody that's part-time inside our real estate team. Everybody is full service, full-time with the same goal in mind, which is getting your home sold for top dollar. We've sold over 5,000 homes since 2005 and currently selling more than one home every single day. We're the top 1% of realtors worldwide. Our team has been voted the 30th top real estate team in the nation out of 1.2 million realtors by the Wall Street Journal. So I share all of this with you, not to brag, not to make myself sound cool and good here, but I just want you to understand that everything that I talked to you about today was not just things that we do because we think they sound good or that we pulled out of the air. They are proven things that gives results. At the end of the day, we have the experience along with the proven systems and proven marketing strategies to get your home sold. When you've sold over 5,000 homes and when you're selling more than one house every single day, 2017, we sold 651 homes here just in Maricopa County. That's not our brokerage. That's our own personal real estate team. 651 homes sold. Eventually, you get this down to a science. We get this down to an art. I know exactly what must happen from the second you decide I'm the real estate agent for you to the second your home sells to get you top dollar for your property. Now, this last point here is a little bit biased, but I'm going to say it because I truly believe in it. Nobody is going to market your home as aggressively and as work as hard for you as I am. You will not find another real estate agent out there that's going to give you as much energy, effort, time, and work as hard for you as I will work for you. And I feel that it's important that you understand why I do what I do. So I just want to let you know, again, why I do what I do and why I take my career, my clients so seriously. So this is a picture of my family. So here's my wife, Amanda. We met 16 years old, only girlfriend I've ever had, met high school sweethearts, been married for over 12 years now, together for over 19 years. So here's my wife, Amanda. Here's our three kids. So my daughter, Michaela, who's my oldest, who's 9 years old now. Landon, my middle son, who just turned 8 years old. Outdated picture, update your picture, right? Picture of Landon here, who is now 8 years old, and our youngest Jackson, who is now 4 years old. So when we started our family, we made the decision, more so I should say my wife made the decision that she wanted to stay home full time with our kids. And I support her in that decision. So you got to understand here, unlike most real estate agents who this is a part-time gig. They've got another job or they have another breadwinner in the house that's bringing in income. And this is just kind of a side gig for them. That's not the case for me. Right? I've got my three kids and my wife that I must go out there and provide for on a daily basis. I want you to understand the context that I personally live my life by as a father and as a husband. I truly believe that is my moral and ethical obligation to do everything I possibly can to provide as many opportunities as I possibly can for my family. I will do whatever it takes to go out there and provide opportunities for my family. I will not let them down. I consider a failure as a father if I'm not able to provide opportunities for my family. How I provide opportunities for these families or for my family is by being successful in real estate. Right? I've chosen real estate as my career path. Real estate is a 100% commission-based business. The only way I can have success is by ensuring that my clients have success. The only way I can go out there and provide opportunities for my family is by making sure that my clients are successful at accomplishing their real estate goals. Look, if I don't help you accomplish your real estate goals, if I don't get you what you want, if I don't accomplish your goals by getting your home sold, not only have I let you down, not only have I failed you as my client, I have failed my wife and my kids. And failure is not an option when it comes to my wife and my kids. So that means it is not an option when it comes to my clients. So again, I can tell you with 100% full certainty, you will not find another real estate agent in this area or on this planet that's going to give you more energy, more effort, work as hard for you as I will, and ultimately do as good of a job at getting your home sold and getting you top dollar inside your pocket. Right? So, and again, I just leave it at that. So what have I done here? Right? I've tapped into the emotional attachment. They see my why. They see what I'm about. They have that believability. They see that intensity. And this is not me being fake. Like you guys see me, right? I mean, maybe some of you follow me more than others with the podcast, my grind, and what I've done over these years. But dude, I don't know any human being that works as much as I do or works as hard as I do, right? Dude, I work freaking, I pull all nighters. Like I do whatever it takes, right? Like it's a true statement. Everything I said there isn't bullshit. It's not like it's me being truly authentic, truly genuine, being me, and showing them who my family is. The other thing I've done here is I'm showing up in a suit. I'm on whatever. They see this. They see my family more lax. They see me kind of more chilling. They may or may not, see a little bit of my tattoo, 3/4 sleeve or whatever there. Whatever. So it gets them to have a little bit more of that personal touch. But what I've done here is I've showed them, look, here's what we're going to do. And I've convinced them about marketing their property, what it needs to take, why these things are important, all of those things, why my team is more important, but then on a personal level, because remember, the human connection is the most important part when it comes to business. You got to do a great job, but the human connection is the most important part. Human beings do business with you for three reasons only. One, because they like you. Two, because they trust you. Number three, because you do a good job. The last reason is because you do a good job. Now, that's important, but they got to like you and trust you. When I end it with this, that just boom, skyrockets that like and trust. They see what I'm about. Now they understand and know why I have to create success for them. I've let them into my personal life. Strikes that emotional chord, becomes so critical, right? Now, maybe you don't have a family, right? Whatever that may be. I mean, still tie something into your personal goals, maybe your future family, what you want to create for the future, why this is important to you. You know, maybe, I mean, you could talk about whatever, talk about, you know, how maybe you failed at other aspect of your life and turned your life around, and failure's not an option. Here's what you want to create in your future. Get real with people. I've had so many people, they're like, dude, Josh, I was going to beat you up on commissions and hit you for commissions, but I'm in a commission only position as well, and have to provide for my family. Once I saw that photo of your family, that did it for me, man. You know, right? So I could probably go into the property tour, just show this picture, give you the pitch that I gave you, and get the listing. But it's all of it that encompasses that makes this so powerful. So hopefully you're getting that. It's not one thing that you do. It's all of these little things that create this into such a powerful presentation that gets it closed. Okay, so then now that I went through all this, now I just paused and I asked them, okay, so I know we've went through a lot of information, and here in just in a moment, the next step is we're going to go through the market valuation report, talk about market value of your property, talk about my recommended list price for your property. But before we get into that, I know we've covered a lot of information here. Do you have any questions about anything that we talked about? Right? Typically it's, no, man, that sounds amazing. That sounds great. I mean, almost never is there questions, but sometimes there will be. So I'll answer those questions. Then I go into the CMA. So I pull up the CMA. I have remember, this is on my laptop. I pull up the cloud CMA, and I have a video of this showing this in Customer Hub, so you can see more of a visual of it. But I start with the solds, pendings, then actives. Now in there's no price, right? I'm just going apples to apples, and I'm just going. You guys know how to present a CMA, right? So I'm just going through those, and again, I have a video of me presenting it if you need to see a visual of that, but I'm just going through them. Okay, hey, your house is 4,100 square feet. This home was 4,200 square feet. This home was on the market 45 days before going under contract. This home sold, January 15th. Sold for $410,000. Price per square foot of $193. Right now this home's a little bit larger than theirs, so I'll do the math afterwards. Then I just go through the photos slowly. That's what I love about Cloud CMAs. It pulls all the photos through. So it's like, hey, this house had a great backyard, great landscaping, great pool. So does your property. This house had upgraded granite counters as yours does. Right? So I'm just trying to show them apples to apples, letting them see the photos. Then after I get done with the CMA and show them all the photos, right, that is then where I pull out the stat CMA, which has their the average price per square feet. Now, I don't ever write in a price until I've seen their property. Because, dude, before I get to the property, I don't know, are they below average? Are they average? Are they good? Like, is their property in alignment with the highest price per square foot comp out there? Like, let's just say it is. Let's just say the highest sold price per square foot comp that just most recently sold was $193 per foot, which may be low for you guys' area, but that's, for a larger, like a 4,000 square foot home, that's common in my area. So then, I'll sit there and say, okay, so the closest comp, the average price per square foot is $189, right? However, the closest comp that I think to yours, because your home is so nice and so well upgraded, the highest most recent sold comp is sold for $193, and I think that's the best comp for us to go off of. Right now, that house was 4,200 square feet. Right now, maybe your house is 4,150. So then, when I do the math, maybe their price breaks down to 400,000. Right? With the other house, when I sold at 410. Right? So I'll do that math right in front of them, and then I'll say, okay, so it's just 400,000, just an easy number. So I'll use that number. So I'll sit there and say, okay, so current market value of your property is 400,000. And based on the comps, everything that we've seen, that's also where I think we should list your property. Now, here's just a strategy that I've learned. Let's just say that it comped out at 401,000. even though I hate costing my clients $1,000, I would try to get them to list that property at 400,000. If it's ever close to like those 25,000 increments, I try to get them to list there. And here's why. When you go to Zillow, Realtor.com, Truly, all the big search sites, their search sites are in $25,000 increments. So they get double the exposure. Anybody looking from 375 to 400, everybody looking from 400 to 425, they get double the exposure, double the eyeballs. So it's worth going $1,000 less, because we might be able to get into a bidding war and get that up anyways. But it's so I'll push for that and explain the importance of that. But I'm going to give them my recommended list price. And then, but I don't stop there. I ask them, so based on everything that we've seen here and based on this, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you think about that? As I talked about earlier, when we started this process, you're the boss. I work for you. If you don't agree with that number, like, just let's have a conversation about it. At the end of the day, you're the boss. I work for you. You tell me where to list the property. This is my professional recommendation. But just give me an idea. Like, what are your thoughts? So again, I want to make them feel comfortable. I don't want them to be like, oh, I hate that number. We're going to interview another real estate agent. Josh is give this number that we want to look at. And that's what will happen if you don't have this open conversation. So I wait for them to give me their thoughts. Let's just say, if they come back like, no, everything looks great. We're in alignment. Okay, cool. Right. So we've got that scenario, which, happens, and you got that scenario. Then you got this scenario where they're like, we really were hoping for 415. Okay, I get that and I understand that. And here, I always agree with them, you guys. And I agree with you. Your house is gorgeous. Your house is beautiful. I think that you and I are on the same page that your house should be worth $415,000. I'm not going to disagree with you there. I think your house 100% should be worth $415,000. However, unfortunately, you don't set the price. I don't set the price. The market sets the price. It's what buyers are willing to pay for similar homes to yours in today's marketplace that sets the price. And right now, the market is showing us that's $400,000, not $415,000. So even though you and I are in agreement that your house should be worth $415,000, what the market is telling us is that unfortunately it's not. It's worth $400,000. So I get that you want $415,000. Based on everything that we went through, all the comps, all of that, is $415,000 the number that you were really just hoping for, that you wanted? Or do you disagree with the data that we've went through here, and think that your house is truly worth more than what the data is telling us? Right? I just want to ask them, right? Because if they're, a lot of times they're like, no, we see where you're coming from, and the data is the data. We're just hoping for 415. That's an easy. That's a different, it's easier conversation. Okay, well, look, I get that you want a 415. I'll do everything I can to get you above 400. Do as much as I possibly can to get you as much in your pocket as you possibly can. But as we both agree with the comps of 400. 400 is the best place to list your property. We don't want to overlist your property, so I recommend that we move forward 400. Sound good? Yep, boom, and then I jump into signing the paperwork. Now, if they're like, nope, we want to list at 415, we think it should be at 415, not 400. Now, I am not in the business of taking overpriced listings, but I will take overpriced listings in two scenarios. Number one, okay, look, 415, I get it. And I get like when I list my home properties, I like to list them a little bit high too. And, or I would like to, and I don't always, you got to understand what you got about that first 2 to 3 weeks of marketing, which are the most important. So if we're overpriced for too long, you're going to miss out on that and you end up shooting yourself in the foot. If you're not willing to list at 400, which is my professional recommendation, I truly believe we need to be listed at 400 to maximize on this opportunity to get your home sold for top dollar. I think at 415 is a mistake. However, if you're not willing to start at 400, if you're dead set on listing at 415, I'm willing to work with you. I'll give you all my energy, all my effort. I'll do everything I possibly can to get you top dollar and get you that price. However, I need you to be willing to work with me and make adjustments. If we're not getting the traffic that we need, if we're not getting a lot of buyers to the property, not a lot of interest to the property, we're not getting the traffic that we need to get offers, I need you to work with me and make adjustments to the price, lower the price. We don't have to go, from 415 to 400 overnight, right? We can, every couple of weeks, we can revisit this and drop it in smaller increments. But as long as you're willing to work with me to reduce the price over time, to get your home to the price that it needs to be, to get the traffic, to get the interest where we're confident we're going to get an offer. As long as you're willing to work with me on that, I'm willing to work with you. Right now, if they're like, yeah, then cool, let's rock and roll with it. Of course, again, I'm really trying to get them on that 400. Of course, but I'm telling them it's a mistake, whatever. Then from there, if they're like, nope, we want 415, we're not willing to budge a penny, right? Then from there, it's a judgment call. I will say sometimes I've been wrong on price, and if it's close enough, sometimes, dude, like sometimes people will just pay a little bit more, right? So it's a little bit of a judgment call. I mean, typically in these situations, I will take them only if I'm like, dude, this house, I will make money off this house even if I never sell this house, right? It's in the neighborhood I want to sign in, open houses, Facebook ads. I'll kill it with Facebook ads on this property. It's a hot property. I'll generate a shit ton of leads off this. If it's a marketing, strategic marketing play for me, where I know just by having this listing, even if I don't sell this listing, it's going to generate several sales for me, then I absolutely will take that on. Otherwise, dude, if I can't leverage that property to market that property, and generate other business off that property, and if I can't do that, and I'm very, 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 very high in my confidence level that I'm not going to get the property sold, I absolutely will just walk away from it, right? There's no sense of having a sign in the ground. The reason having a sign in the ground is to stroke my ego to say I got X amount of listings. Well, your listings don't matter. How many closings do you have, right? So, that's how I play the pricing strategy. Then you'll see in week number 9, every single week, every Tuesday morning, they're emailed a weekly report with a recommended price reduction every week. Just bam, 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 bam. I'll pick that up in week number 9 with you guys. So then from there, right, I've answered all the questions. You can see I keep pausing throughout the presentation to answer any of the questions. We're in agreement on price. Then from here, just like we talked about last week with the buyer broker, right, the assumption close. I do the same thing here. Right at this point, we're all in agreement here. Let's list this damn property. I'm not like, okay, well, would you like to move forward with listing your property? I pull out the listing agreement. Have it pre-printed out is what I possibly can in here. What I don't, I start pulling it out. I start circling where they need to initial. As I'm looking at the paperwork, I'm not even looking at them at this time. As I'm looking down, initialing where they need to initial or filling out, the paperwork or anything that wasn't filled out, I just say to them, okay, great. Well, the next step is to sign the listing agreement, which I brought with me right here that I'll have you sign here in just a moment. I'll explain this here in just a moment. So this is the next step. So what I'm going to do, though, is we're going to sign this listing paperwork right now. I'm going to leave the dates blank for right now, as far as when we're going to get your home listed on the market. So we're going to get the listing paperwork signed, but we're going to leave the dates open for right now. Then once we get the listing agreement paperwork signed, then I'm going to go room by room with you with my How to Prep Your Home for Sale guide, showing you exactly what I recommend needs to be done for each room throughout your whole entire property to get your home showing at its absolute best. So we can bring in the photographer, and based on those things and based on the timeline that you think it's going to take to get that and do that, then from there, we'll then fill in the date with your expected projected date that you can have all this done and get your house on the market for. And again, if you get it done sooner, we can adjust the date. If it's delayed, we can, these dates can be changed very easily. But that's the process that we're going to follow. Right. Then I just fill out the paperwork. I've got all the paperwork hopefully pre-filled out at this point. So then I just like the buyer broker. I pull out the paperwork. My ER is 3 pages. I explain what it is to them, just like the buyer broker, and I get them to sign it. Right. So, it's the assumption close, right? Like, again, you got to be sold on your services. And you don't have to be sold on your experience. You operate from a high place of ethics and morals. You put your client's needs before your commission check. You work your ass off for your clients. You do those 3 things. You're 90% ahead of the rest of the industry. Be sold on those 3 things. The rest of the things you can be resourceful enough to figure out. Just be sold on those 3 things and have that confidence and move forward with this. It is by far, hands down, the most effective way to get a listing agreement signed. And look, this isn't my team now today because I'm not personally listing. We got a lot of new agents. Right on the listing side right now, we're at 82% of our listing agreements consultations get signed. When I was personally listing, though, I was at 93%. 93% of listings that I would go on and conduct would get signed right there on the spot. 7% I wouldn't get. Maybe I'd get after the fact or just wouldn't get it all. You're not going to get them all. And just a couple side notes. Obviously, like today, I went through a little bit quicker with you guys with some of this stuff because, due to essence of time and whatever, I'm not going as fast as I went when I'm working with them. I try to mirror their language. And if, I feel like they're losing interest, I might speed up a little bit or, I try to gauge that based on their body language, which is also why it's important to have them across the table. Now, an objection that you'll get sometimes, which is, well, hold on, Josh, we need to talk about it, right? When I get that, the husband and wife right here, they haven't had a chance to talk amongst each other. Most real estate agents think of that as, okay, well, why don't you guys talk about it? I'll call you tomorrow and we'll talk about it. No, dude, I realize that's a huge mistake. So here's what I do in that situation. Absolutely. We've covered a lot of information and you haven't had a chance to talk privately amongst yourselves. So why don't I do this? Why don't I excuse myself? I'll go out front, check some voicemails, check some emails, give you 15 minutes to talk. I'll come back in 15 minutes to see if you have any additional questions and we'll take it from there. Sound good? Okay, cool. I excuse myself, come back in. Usually that's all the time that they need. We move forward, from that. So squeeze that time. So all of these things are very, very critical, very, very important when it comes to this. Okay, so for your overall homework, number one, creating your own personal listing presentation. Again, mine's all in there. You can just edit it, take it, steal it, tweak it, create your step-by-step listing manual. Same thing, mine's in there. Take it, tweak it, steal it. So by the end of this week, we want your listing manual included, completed along with your listing presentation. But with that listing manual, right in your listing presentation, that's going to be other documents like your how to prep your home for sale guide, your 48-point marketing strategy, property checklist. Again, all those are in there available for you. Then before next week, if you haven't done so already, fast forward to week number 6 and watch the mega open house video training that's inside there. That's an hour long in-depth training. And if you have some additional time, you can check out that short sell training too in there as well. So that is the homework for this next week. Remember, all these documentations, all this stuff is in here. More in-depth CMA videos and cloud CMA videos, as I said, are all in here. So everything that you need is inside here. You just got to execute on that homework and get that done. And it's very important to get this stuff done because now we're going to get into lead gen, lead follow-up, which you're going to get appointments right away. Right? But what good does it do if you're setting appointments if you can't close the appointment? That's why we build out your presentations and your conductions before we start lead gen and lead follow-up, because I can lead gen and lead follow-up all day long, but if I can't close an appointment, I'm just freaking wasting my time and my money, right? So that's why these are critical. So make sure you got your buyer consultation, your buyer presentation dialed in, make sure you got your trackers dialed in, all those things that we've discussed so far before we get into lead generation. All right, so now I am going to hit Q&A questions. So Rudy says, hey, I'm in LA. Can I sneak into the event? I apologize. Dude. I wish if it was one of my events, I'd say hell yes to it. Unfortunately, I'm just a guest speaker there, and it's a private. I think it's $2,000 per person to get in there. It's a real private. I think only like 50 people. Top broker and team leaders in there, and I'm just one of the guest speakers. So I just show up, speak for 2 hours, and then leave. So I got no pull there, but I wish I did because I definitely hook you up. All right. I missed number 2. What does ER mean? So ER, again, when you guys read these manuals, a lot of these are just, when you see some of this stuff, it's going to be my state listing agreement verbiage. So ER is what we call our exclusive right to sell, which is what they call our agreement video there. What is the video texting app that you use? So I use VoicePad. It's very expensive. So it's not a good place to start. I would do something like eProperty sites, eProperty sites. So like eProperty sites, and I can post it inside the group if you guys have questions. There's more affordable options out there until you get to a certain size. Like why VoicePad is so epic. It's $800 a month for my team. But here's the cool thing. I have one number, one text, only one thing for every single sign inside my organization. On the back end, we're able to put who the listing agent is, routes the calls, routes the numbers, routes the text, routes the leads. So it's almost like a phone routing system, which works very effectively. But there's definitely cheaper ways to do it, if you're not using those features. So for me, it works good, but there's way more affordable options out there, like eProperty sites. I think it's like $29 a month, and you get X amount of properties and different things. Are you using a system for video like BombBomb, or what do you use? I don't use any of that, and we'll talk about that in week number 8. I'm not a fan of BombBomb. I've tried it. I've used it. And we'll expand on this more in week 8 of why. I get a Rig'em, so it looks like it is like, just if you ever get my emails from my podcast, it's the same thing, right? I do a screenshot of the photo. So like if I hover over this, like this becomes red. So this looks like a video to play, right? So I'd screenshot this. I embed this in the email. Then I hyperlink this to my website. So when they click on this, it takes them to my website. The video plays on my website in a blog feature, but gets them on my website. Then they can view my website, all the different resources on my website. Plus, it picks up my tracking pixels where then I can retarget them with different things where you lose all that capability in BombBomb. So I'm personally, some people swear by it. I'm not a big fan of it for a lot of reasons. And you can save the money. I can teach you how to do it without spending any money, right? For additional sites. How do you advertise on 2,000 plus national websites? Okay, we talked about this. It's just through the IDX. I don't have a list of them. You could probably complete a list pretty easily. I mean, you saw my listing presentation where I've got a big list of them, but not all 2,000. Right? So, I've got a bunch flying in here, but it's just through the IDX, right? Which like I said, you're probably on 1 million plus with that. Stefan says, dude, you were a beast and I'm stoked to be able to learn from you. I listen to these videos over and over again. I'm excited to implement all this in my business. I 100% know people in my market are not doing the majority of these techniques. Dude, nobody is. Right. And I'm not saying no. I mean, there are some people that are. The producers are. This is the difference between going pro and being an amateur. We're in an industry where dude, like 95+% are amateurs. There's only a small percentage that are pros. And this is, we've talked about this already, but dude, it's like fishing with dynamite. Once you level up and you commit to this stuff and you dial this in, it's like just slaying it, fishing with dynamite, man. I am not smart. Right? Like I scored one of the lowest ACT scores in my whole entire graduating class. I couldn't get into college. I talked my way into college. The only reason I went to college is because my girlfriend was going to college, and I didn't think we were going to make it. It's like that insecure elementary relationship where like, well, if one goes to college, your high school sweethearts, one goes to college, one doesn't. I literally went to college because I didn't want her to dump me because she's having the experiences, and I'm just like back at home and not doing anything. I got denied from college 5 times. I finally requested a meeting with the dean of admissions. I talked my way in. Right? She probably shouldn't have let me in because I ended up dropping out 18 months later because then I got confidence that my girl and I were good and that, those were just all limiting beliefs and I was rocking and rolling. So I dropped out. Like, dude, for me, if I've never taken an IQ test, but I'm guessing it's low. I've got a terrible vocabulary, right? Like even my dude, like my kids come home and the shit they're teaching me that just blows my mind, dude. But the thing is I've just been committed to going pro. That's it. Like I'm just committed. Like I can suck at 99% of the things on planet Earth. I just identify the 1% I got to be good at. I'm committed to going pro at those things, being consistent with those things. Again, it's not so much what you say. It's that believability, that certainty that you say it with that makes all the difference in the world. How can the average agent pull this off? How can we back up to buy the buyer's home for all cash? Okay, so again, a lot of these questions come in before I talked about these guarantees. So now that we've covered all these guarantees, you should be good to go there. If not, go rewatch that portion as soon as I upload this, because not because I don't want to answer your question, Valerie, but because I go through it so in depth with you. Again, I'm not buying any properties. Even as a mega agent, even though I have the money to buy properties, I'm not buying any of them, right? I just feed them to my investor clients. Like I said, I go through that. And so your question probably came in before we covered that. When you're going room to room, showing them what needs to be done, what if there are blemishes on the trim or even crappy drywall patch? How do you bring up those issues without offending them? Yeah, dude, there's such a thing as tact, right? And tact is getting your point across without being offensive, right? So like if I see a drywall patch, I'm like, oh, like what happened over here, right? Just trying to get the story of this. And like, I was just sitting there, I'll say, oh, well, yeah, it looks like you did a pretty good job matching this up, but it just looks like, one thing that's really hard is matching paint. And unless you paint the whole wall with patches like this, it doesn't match, and that's why you see this the way that it is. So if you're able, the best thing to do would I can, if you don't want to do it, I can have my painter come over here for $150. We just have this one wall painted. You never know it existed. Right? So just little things like that as much as I possibly can. Now it's up to them to do it or not do it. But I always will give them that, but I'm always trying to, again, and I'll talk about this in week number 9, but it's like, what if their house reeks like cat urine? Right? Like I get that sometimes from like feedback. Oh, dude, their house reeks like cat urine, right? And maybe it does. I don't know, but that's just the feedback I'm getting when I'm having that conversation with them. I'm always trying to relate with them too. So I'm like, hey, some of the feedback that we've gotten has been a little bit negative, but the good thing is there's solutions to it. So some of the feedback that we got is there's a stronger pet odor inside your house. Now, you and I are both pet lovers. I mean, I've got my dogs. I love my dogs. My dogs are my family to me, right? So, us as pet lovers, we may not notice the odor that maybe somebody that isn't a pet lover, doesn't have pets, is able to pick up on that they don't. So like you and I, we may not notice some of these things. Like I don't, maybe I'll say this or not, depending on if I actually notice the odor in their house or not. But if I notice it or not. But here's the great thing, and this is important because we've got some non-pet lovers that have brought this up, is this can be easily solved with some air fresheners, right? So, if there's anything that I got to bring up that's a negative, I always want to come up with the best, quickest, possible solutions with that. Okay, so how do you respond to a Zestimate that the sellers love to refer to when they're first trying to come up with their listing price? So again, that's why I asked it in those questions in the beginning, right? I just want to know what that is. That's why I asked them, hey, in your opinion, what do you feel the value of your home is? So if you remember those questions from the listing man, that's why I asked that question in the beginning, so I know where they're at, where they stand, so then I can come in with the comps and the data to either prove that it's right or prove that it's wrong, which most of the times that it's wrong. So that's why I'm asking those. Hey, sorry, got to go. Just send a bar of mine off a listing. Good job. You're not hearing that right now, but good job. How do you track buyers that view the property and relay the information back to the seller? Is it through spreadsheets, CRMs? So we'll go through that in week number 9. A simple spreadsheet's very easy to do that with. If you have positive feedback or, negative, good, bad, or whatever, a simple spreadsheet, and I'll show you just, you have to, the formulas, right? It's just create a file in Google Drive for that property, create a spreadsheet for that property of just the feedback, agent's name, phone number, client's feedback, good, positive, ugly, whatever. We run our lockbox reports every single Monday. Then we spend that Monday, a chunk of our time Monday, getting that feedback, provide that feedback to our clients every single Tuesday, which I'll talk to you about there. Very simple process. All right. This is, I love the Volcom and our VCA shirts. Hell yeah, dude. Only way to roll, man. Okay. I know you like to keep your business at 60% buyers, 40% listings. But as someone who puts out 50 plus hours a week into my other job, would you recommend that I focus more on the listing side? As my time is limited, I have 50 hours a week, to put into real estate. I just have to work around my job. Yeah. Yes and no. Right. So, I mean, the thing is it just depends on your level in your real estate business, right? It's going to be quicker and easier to get buyers. They're going to care less about your experience. They can work with you. You don't sit there and say, hey, I got another job. Just say, hey, I've got, other meetings at that time. Here's the time that I have. So be very proactive with your schedule. When you're meeting with them, hey, I've got, this time and this time available. We really hope this time. Well, unfortunately, I've got another meeting at that time. How about this time? Right? People will work with you very, very heavily, with that. Listings is definitely something good to focus on. Just understand, like, I would not abandon where your business is coming from right now until you built up that strong new pipeline of new business. So listings, yeah, I mean, allows you to be a little more efficient with your time, but it takes way longer to build up a listing inventory. It's way more costly. I mean, yes, buyers take more time once you have them as a client, but it takes way more time to get a listing than it does a buyer, right? So it kind of ends up being a wash. With that, the mistake that I mean, and I know I'm kind of being vague here, but the mistake that I don't want to see you make is I'm going to drop everything I'm doing right now to get the current business that I have and just focus on listings, right? Keep doing what you're doing right now while focused on listings at the same time. Get listing business to come in. When that listing business that's coming in is consistent and, is exceeding what your other business is, then roll with it. But dude, this, and we talked about this last week. Hopefully you guys can grasp this right now. Buyers absolutely do not take up that much time. Right. So, I mean, they can be quick. If you dial these things in, they'll be more available to work with your schedule, evenings, weekends, right. All of those things. So, it doesn't need to be that time consuming. Stacy says, I use an electronic contract. If I signed it locked and I can't enter the other dates recommendations. Yeah, I mean, you could sign after you get the dates or just put the dates in, right up front, or, or just don't use an electronic contract. Like I'll fill it out on zip forms, right? But then I just have them sign. I just print them before I get there. So that's an option. If it's got to be electronic, that's the only way that you can do it, right? So I would just be like, okay, the next step is the listing agreement. I want to just verify all this information is correct. Then we'll go through the property and go through the property condition report. Then we'll set those dates. Then once we set the dates, then you can execute the paperwork. Good. Okay, boom. So you could do it that way too. I can download the preparing your home for market material going to the listing appointment now. Boom. Hell yeah. I love it. When do you discuss how you work in terms of updates, what times you return calls? So that's going to be week number 9. We already discussed a lot of that in week number 3 as well. But when it comes to specific, like the dates I update clients and what all that looks like, clients not under contract, clients under contract, all that happens in week number 9. Okay, so we got here, hey, great class, thanks. So if you don't get the listing, you said you changed the perfect storm drip immediately, but do you pause the original drip? Nope. So there's still a lead. So I keep them on the lead drip, but in addition to that, because they're not a client yet, the only time I stop drips is when they become a client. Then I add the appointment conducted, client not signed drip for them specifically, in addition to that. You said your listings are posted on 2,000 plus websites. Okay, so we talked about that. What is the best do-it-yourself way to create personal branding logo for letterhead? Canva. That's all mine are, right? So I just literally go into Canva, I plop my logo on a little banner, and I plop it on the header. Everything that I've done, I create in Canva, 2 seconds, and plop it on those. So very easy. I didn't create my own logo. I went to Fiverr and had somebody create my logo. But then once the logo is created, man, Canva, canva.com. It's free, very easy to use. Where can I see the CMA presentation? CMA presentation is inside Customer Hub. So you scroll down, right here is how I pull that, how I list that, how I go through that, all of that. Okay, so objections. If they have a meeting with another agent tomorrow, okay, so if they have another agent, so let me just say, Tom, well, I guess it depends on the objection, right? So if the objection is, I like before I set the appointment, like if I have a preference and I don't, I don't like, I'll push for it somewhat. I'm not pushing extremely hard for it, but if I find out that they have a listing appointment tomorrow, I'll try to make sure mine's after that appointment. If I can, then from there, right? If they're like, hey, it sounds great, Josh. We're not ready to sign with you. We got a, another appointment tomorrow. Look, dude, there's all these, gurus that sit there and say things like, oh, well, I know you got this meeting tomorrow, but with everything that we discussed today, everything that you heard today, at this point, do you have full confidence that I'm the right real estate agent to go out there and get you top dollar? Right? And then if they say yes, then just say, look, what I would recommend then, if you know that I'm the real estate agent for you, you have full confidence I'm the real estate agent for you, why don't we just go ahead and get this list with me. And then here's what I do. Here's what I'll do. Because again, if you have full confidence, I'm the real estate agent for you. And if you meet with this other agent tomorrow, we're delaying the process and you're wasting that other agent's time. A lot of home sellers think that, they've already committed to the meeting that they should give this agent the opportunity because they feel bad, but it's actually the reverse, right? If you already know that you're going to list with me, then at this point, you're just wasting their time. And the best thing to do is just to cancel that meeting with them. I know that that's uncomfortable. So here's what I will do is I will call them for you, let them know that we listed your property together, and, I'll let them down for you so you don't have to worry about it. Then I'll call them up and do that. And I've done that. Right. But here's what I found with that is it's a coin toss in the air. It's going to turn off as many people as does good with it. So at the end of the day, you can try tactics like that. I no longer do because I just find it's kind of a 50-50 on how that plays out. Here's what I do is I focus on what I can control, which is me, right? Me, my listing presentation, my process, and I get so good at it and I role play it so much that I know nobody can touch me. I'll go against 10 other agents and I'll come out victorious. I don't care. Right now that may or may not be the case, but I'm going to, I might have people that beat me, right? But what I'm saying with this is I'm going to get so damn good at this that's the level of confidence that I have. So if they have a listing tomorrow with another agent, great. Have that listing appointment tomorrow and you're just going to see how damn good I am then because they're going to disappoint you on such a high level. Right? That's what we want to get to, is that you just get that good with that. What do you think of virtual staging? I have not done it. I think it's could be cool. It's something actually that has come up multiple times with my own teammates. So it's something that we're exploring right now. I just haven't been able to find a company that I really like yet that I think does a really good job at it. That's simplistic enough and affordable enough to make sense. But it is something that So to answer your question, I have no experience with it. Other than I know what it is, it looks freaking cool. I have no experience with it. It's like Matterport videos. Yeah, they look super cool, but nobody's ever sold a house off a Matterport video. So is it really effective? Right? Is it easy to use? Is there an affordable feature out there? Those are the things that I'm exploring right now, but it's something that we're entertaining about bringing in. Especially because in my market, we do list, it's a lot of relocation area, a lot of second homes, a lot of vacant homes, so we do think it would be a pretty cool feature out here. Have you ever used technology with that floor plan? So no to those. What about inspections when you are doing a guaranteeing buyout? Yeah, I mean, there's a purchase contract there, and they have the right to an inspection and all of those things. So, those are still in place, and there's a purchase contract there, which everybody's protected still with those inspections. With that, now, just to be honest with you, my guys, if this is something that they want to do, that they're going to move forward with, then usually they'll do a drive-by or see if we can get them in the property, or might request some additional photos or things like that of the property. But my guys that are investors, dude, I mean, they're buying from the auction steps all day long. None of them do professional home inspections, right? And they almost never back out of deals, but they're, they know the property. I've got the property condition report that I send them that they've seen that I use for my tour, and they're able to push through. But, if your people need to do inspections, you can just make it, offer is of course contingent on inspections, and, you can add any verbiage that you need to add. Okay. Why both on the iPad? Can you just do one? Yeah, of course you can do one. And a lot of my agents do. Honestly, I like to present on the iPad better. It's just easier for me. It's smoother for me. Plus, dude, I just think it looks cool. Right? I got, I go in there, dude. I got like my iPhone, I got my iPad, I got my MacBook Pro all sitting there, all up, all looking shiny. NAR's done studies on this, and it's proven that if you go on a listing presentation, you set down a laptop, even if you don't open it, it increases your likelihood of getting that listing by like 35%. People know that you need to be tech savvy. So when I go in there with my different devices, right? Now, this is just theory. Like, I don't friggin' know. I'm just assuming that, it helps. They see that I'm tech savvy. They see that they want up, but it really just helps me flow well. Because then as I'm going through when I have the CMA up, then if they're asking other questions about, then I can jump back into the presentation. But really, dude, one way or another is probably not going to be more effective. Like I said, I got a ton of teammates that just do everything on their laptop and like it on their laptop. That's just what I like, right? How long does a listing presentation take? You said that if they are staying in the area and they're buying a presentation for the listing, so you get them under an agreement. Yeah, so I mean, if they're staying in the area and they're buying and selling, I'll get them under a buyer broker and a listing agreement, and that'll take about 3 hours sometimes. My average listing appointment is anywhere between 90 minutes to 2 hours. Now, if we sign the listing agreement, and because again, you guys, I get the listing agreement signed, I get the seller property disclosure signed. We do I don't want to come back. Like, literally, this is the only time I want to be at the property, right? Like, I install the lockbox, like I have everything done. So I don't want to come back until we're signing an offer. So I'd rather spend the time, I mean, a quick listing presentation is 90 minutes, probably closer to about 2 hours on average. That's with all the paperwork signed, everything all together. I'll hear people sit there and say things like, oh, I'm in and out in 30 minutes. I'm like, dude, I just, again, I don't want to judge it because maybe they're doing something that I just don't know of. I just don't know how in the hell you can be effective with that ever with a 30-minute listing presentation, unless you're not getting the listing there, unless you have a 2-step listing presentation, unless you're not focusing. I just don't know how it can be effective. I don't know anybody that does that's effective with it long-term at getting high percentages of them. So yeah, I mean, 2 hours. I mean, sometimes they go longer than 2 hours, right? But 90 minutes to 2 hours is about average. How many times does the client stop you and just say, "Do we sign?" Say, "Where do we sign?" And don't get to finish the presentation. It happens. Right? Especially when they're like, when it's a repeat customer, it's constant, right? But then I kind of interrupt them, like, look, I get that. I appreciate your confidence in me. However, I think it's really important for you to understand exactly what I'm doing. So if you're willing, I'd like to finish going through this so you know exactly what to expect. But that's up to you. If you don't want to hear it, I don't want to do anything you want to do. If you're ready, just move forward and sign. Let's get this signed. That's kind of the verbiage I go through with it. With new business, it's rare just because I'm so intentional about leading the process where they just follow what I do. But if that does happen, I go into that same script and I will absolutely do it. No no questions asked, right? Okay, what point do you fill out the full MLS input sheet? Same time as the ER. Yep. So I'm doing the ER, property profile sheet, seller property disclosures, and I'm recommending them to order their insurance claim history letter. How many investors do you send the listing to get the offer for the clients? Dude, I don't shotgun it out to. I just feed like just usually one of them. If one doesn't answer, I'll give it to one. I've got one that's really my go-to guy. And this dude's doing about 10 flips a month out here. It has also become a very good friend of mine. And then I've got some backups, and like, sometimes he's just out of cash. Right, where he might have 20 projects going on, and he's just like, dude, look, my funds are tied up. I can't invest the 300 grand right at this moment, whatever it may be. So then I have some backups. So I've got one main guy, but I don't shotgun it out to like 6 at a time. And then Donna says it's canva.com, right? Yeah, correct. So canva.com. Actually, if you just come into here, so if you just type in, I can show you like what my account looks like. And guys, I don't pay for an account or anything like that, but just little things like, like here's one that I made for a GSD mode header, right? So just get the logos on the side here, the code here, and then I just create this, takes 2 seconds, and then I save this to my desktop, and then I just embed it into the header of the pages. Like I can't draw stick figures, right? So, so this stuff, I need quick little things like Canva. So I have to ask, sorry, I should have asked a question a little cleaner. I meant at what point during the listing presentation do you explain to the seller how you work in terms of when they will get their updates, calls, etc.? Okay, got you. And that, like, we literally pick up in week number 9, right where we just left off today, and we go through that, but it's at the time of the presentation. So as soon as they become a signed client, right? Then at there, I talk about what their updates are going to look like. I talk about the time blocking 90/60s, when they get a hold of me, when they can't get a hold of me, friend requests on Facebook. And we pick up all that in week number 9, but that all happens at the listing presentation. But at the listing presentation, once they signed and they become a client, have you found the recent change of Facebook to focus on family and friend posts instead of news articles have detrimental effect to your Facebook marketing? Absolutely zilch, right? And it's a lot of scare for a lot of people. But here's what's happening: is your organic posts from your business page become non-existent. Yeah, right. So when I post something on my business page, I have 30,000 people that like my business page. I post something, 300 see it. Facebook has forced me now to spend like $3,000 to go out there and market to them on. When it comes to when I'm actually running ads through Ads Manager in my group strategy, my ads right now are more effective than they've ever been before. I'm getting the best cost per lead I've ever gotten. Some of that's just because I've just learned it. The process is better. But yeah, zero negative effect, even though people are crying bloody murder about it, but they just don't really understand it, right? And I get Facebook's releases make it all complicated to really get what's going on, but yeah, you're good to go there. Can I get your team's FSBO scripts and objections and how I approach them to hold an open house? Yeah, so all that's in week number 6, all available for you. So you can jump right on in there and jam on that. So, all right, you guys. Well, I don't see any more questions inside here. So I'm going to get this rendered. I will get this uploaded ASAP. I'll let you know as soon as it is. Okay, we got one more question. Okay, so I just got a question about a group member that's blocked on Facebook. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I apologize. Last week has been a little hell. I think I told you guys we had a death in the family. My wife had to dart out of town, so I'm way behind on certain things like Facebook messages and certain things. So yeah, I'll check that right away. And see if we can get you dialed in. So, all right, you guys. Well, if there's anything that you need, I'll be in. You know how to get a hold of me. I'm inside the group. I'll get this to you right away. Keep up the amazing work, and I will talk to you soon.